1, we are going live. So that, and come on, get it up. Right, that's it. We are up live. Cal, I'm just going to unmute you to start with, mate. So if you could unmute yourself.
Yep.
Right, let me just slam this all over Twitter as I promised everyone I would do. I need to remember. I need to remember to mute that version of it so I don't hear myself 5 times in a 15-minute lag. Right, guys. Hi, good evening. So welcome to tonight's stream. Thanks for all of the interest in getting involved tonight. We have got a lot of people that want to come and chat, which is really good. First up, I've got Cal, who you can see on screen with me. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of where we are because I've been reading a bit more of the information today in a bit more detail. So last night when we were talking, we weren't quite sure if Team of the Month dividends and MDEs were expiring at the end of this month or if they were going to be reviewed or where they were going to sit. So I've since reread the press release. I don't know if it's just the slightly different versions of the press release they've got. It's basically it's absolutely gone. So at end of March, Team of the Month is gone. Matched extras is gone. It will just be the new dividends that they've announced the other day. Now, one of the main things that is important for this is, right, so Football Index claim they are doing this because they want to improve their viability, essentially, their financial viability. So I've done some quick numbers on this. I couldn't get a full data set to do it on, but what I have managed to do is what I've taken is the Football Index publicized data around how many shares are held in the sort of top, anyone that's got over 5,000 shares, that's the top 1,800 players on the index. I've then also looked at all of the dividend payouts that they've actually done for the last 100 days on both PB and MB. And then what I've said is, right, if we translated that to the new matrix, for those winners, what is the difference in what Football Index would have paid out? So Football Index, based on my calculations, paid out just over 5.6 million in dividends in the last 100 days to the community. Now, had they been doing the new model, then basically media would drop from 1.4 million to 300 grand. It would have been what they paid out over the last 100 days. So that's obviously a 1.1 million saving. It cuts it down to basically 20% of what they've paid out. The PB, now I could only do it for the players that did actually win. So obviously there would be 5 winners in the new version because you'd have 5 leagues. So what I've done is said, right, okay, if we assume worst case scenario, multiplied that number by 5, because, you can't have Jadon Sancho win it 5 times, but you could have, different players of different things. So I think that will give us a broad yardstick for it. You end up with about a 400 grand saving over the last 100 days. So they're saving about 4 grand a day on the PB side of things, but significantly more on the media side of things. That's where they're going to make the real savings with this. It's going to be on the media side of things. It's like a massive kick in the nuts for the existing community. I think, to be honest, it's going to be quite good for people that are new. So anyone that comes in new, it's quite a nice platform because you've got more opportunity to win. So you'll get those early wins in. But yeah, so Cal, what do you want to say, mate? Over to you.
Wow, just been a mad 24 hours, really, isn't it? Yeah, like you said, the numbers are a bit crazy when you say it like that. Like, to be fair, but yeah, they've fucked it, really. No, like you said though, if it was a new user coming on the platform, then everything looks great and rosy. But as we're sitting here now, with all the trust has been lost, man, like we're they're essentially going for a restart, like a reset. They are, but we're all starting on massive, massive losses, and obviously some bigger than others. But I just want to chip in every now and then. But it's just crazy, absolutely crazy.
Sorry, just to quickly interrupt. So everyone, just breaking news. There is an article in The Guardian right now. I've just posted the link in the YouTube chat. So a number of people in the community have been talking to The Guardian today. There is now a Guardian article on this. We've seen that there's a guy from The Athletic who's interested and has been chatting to people. I have sent him the Zoom invite to this, so we'll see if he actually turns up. That'd be quite interesting, but I doubt he will, but we'll see what happens. Sorry to drop there, Cal. So yeah, any more thoughts on it?
Well, I was trying to think, because obviously I went for a little drive and that, and kind of got my thoughts together. And like whenever we deposit money or buy a share in a player, essentially, as well as that player going up or down, we are invested in this growing as a platform. Now, okay, like if you read deeper into stuff, do we need to see the warning signs a bit more? I don't know. But when they're every statement or every announcement saying we're financially good, on comms they're coming out financially good, then like they're just misleading us completely.
Absolutely, yes. The comms have been very inconsistent and just downright contradictory, quite frankly. There's absolute polar opposites of 1 minute. Well, you've seen the memes going around, Mike saying we are in the strongest financial position we have been in since we founded the index. And then 3 months later, apparently the whole thing's so on fire that you've got to shank every construct that is the index. You're constantly releasing new dividends that you then just kill off within like 2 months or 3 months. I mean, Christ, we had the transfer one back ages ago. We've had the MDEs, we've had the team of the month. They just can't make up their mind about what dividends they actually bloody want. And we're just being shafted because there's no consistency to the platform and no base on which to trade. It's a fucking pain in the ass.
The only other thing as well, obviously, just quickly, is they put that thing out on Twitter, but not everyone has Twitter. There's been no email about it. I haven't checked if they've put it on Facebook or not or whatever, but there's got to be more ways of communicating this across than just tweeting it out and letting it go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and the timing of the comms as well, because you've got people that know ahead of other people because you're just releasing it on one communication platform rather than all of them. You should be, basic comms for any business would be, if you've got a message of this level of importance, you need to make sure that your comms go out on every single platform you've got in unison, so it all goes out at the same time, so that you don't have mixed messaging and the messaging changing from what you're trying to actually communicate. So yeah, it's an absolute clusterfuck. But yeah, I
don't know. And hindsight's a great thing, like, because it was I think it was early or mid-January probably. After I restructured my port for IPDs, and then the next thing I know, they're taking them away. So I obviously sold everyone up, and I had a cash balance sitting there. It was a loss from my original deposit, but I still had a cash balance sitting there. And I thought, I really want to withdraw it. I really want to take it out. And I just couldn't bring myself around to it. So I think I took out like 25% and left 75 in, because I thought, there was one part of me saying, look, just get it out. But then it's such a good concept that I was like, I can't, like, I love watching football with knowing I have this player and he's just scored, and it's hindsight's great, but it just sucks now.
Yeah, no, I think that's the problem. I think I genuinely think it is a major problem for all members of the index. Is we're struggling to quit the habit. It's almost like an addiction at this point of, you know, we're in a abusive relationship we can't leave. It's just
absolutely.
So, well, thanks, Cal. I'll come back to you again in a minute, but I just want to, you know, we've got a lot of people to get through tonight. So I'm just going to stick you on mute and let's go to Frog, because that will always be fun. And I'll let him just off the handle for a bit, and then we'll put him back in his box and we'll let somebody else have a say. Come on, Frog. What have you got to say, mate?
Hey, people. How we doing? Can you hear me, yeah?
Yep, we can hear you. It's all good.
Sweet. How's it going?
Yeah. Well, I think you know how it's going for most people. Everyone is not a happy bunny right now.
I just woke up, eh? It kept me awake all night. It didn't do much good for my insomnia. It got me messing around though. It got me like finding as many different ways to moan like fuck as I can. Yeah, it's pretty shit. Well, it's not even pretty shit. It's total fucking shit. It's just garbage. I hear folk going about resets and all that. It's not. It's just incompetence. They're just thick. They're just stupid. They're incapable of doing the job, and they have been for a long time. And it doesn't need to be like this. It just doesn't. It's just if they had made better decisions, we wouldn't be where we are. And that's the bit, like, folk go on about the model this, model that. Like, I don't know. There wasn't enough money in the market to move to order books. And they moved anyway. And they moved half-assed. And it was half broken, and only one side worked. And like, we gave them free pass after free pass after free pass, just because we think, you know, whether we're mugs, which we are, without a doubt, but also that's just love for the product, love for the concept, belief in the concept. You know, lots of things. Like, yeah, there's big guys out there going, oh, I told you. Like, yeah, I know you did, but yeah, whatever may be the reason, naivety, ignorance, whatever, I don't know, but
I don't think it is naivety. I don't think it is ignorance, because I think there are some very well-informed, very intelligent people that understand a lot about financial markets and trading and betting and all kinds of things. I think it's just that we've all been very glass half full, rose tinted glasses on this, because, you know, the main thing for this was precedent for my thing. So when Carnberry was coming out and weighing his punches, I didn't disagree with anything he said. Everything he said was factually accurate. What I disagreed with was precedent. There was no precedent for Football Index to do what he was saying they were going to do. Everything they had ever done had always been on a upward trajectory, a expansion. They made these, you know, they just de-risked themselves by bringing in order books. So they'd completely cleared their liability thing, which should have left them with millions in the bank as a bankroll to cover themselves. So they should have been in a perfect position. And that's why I couldn't see this coming. You know, I couldn't see this part of it coming. The order books bit terrified me. That's why I cashed out back in May 2019.
So you keep telling us, mate. Yes. I know.
But but that was because like, that bit of it terrified me, and I didn't understand it. So I left. But I came back because they lured me back in, and because I loved the product and I wanted to believe in it. And I couldn't see it getting as bad as it has got. But yeah, go on, mate.
No, I don't think anyone could see it as getting as bad, but like there's loads of signs. I remember like over a year ago saying, I believe in the concept, not the management. And, you know, like I've said that numerous times, and like there's loads of times. It's like, but hey, there's no point looking back at it. Like, it's like, we can't achieve anything by doing that. It's just scandalous though that they can do what they've done. And like you go on to things like the minting in the last few weeks and all this stuff, but it's numerous things. It's like all these different promotions, like just constantly hooking people in, but like introducing dividends, increasing dividends, and changing all this shit overnight. It's like, it's just pure incompetence. Like I don't think there's some big grand master plan at play here. I think they're just out of their depth. I genuinely just think that, like, whether it's one decision that's led to the mess that we're in, and that's, was it the day they sat in that blinking offices and decided, okay, we're going to take away IS, or we're going to switch to orders. Is that the defining moment that's led us down this path of total, utter fucking shitness? Because that's where we are. We're just, it's just, and it doesn't need to be like that. Like, there's people who've lost everything, all that they've lost for no fault of their own. Just that's the bit that, it's like, I've been very open over the time about my mental health, and I've gone through fucking hell last. I don't want to sit here and go me, but yeah, it's been a tough 6 months, or 12 months. But like it has for anyone. I know COVID's affected everyone, but like losing my job, struggling to find jobs, all these things I'm not used to having, and as well as like COVID and all this, and it's just like my health. It's like, my point is that I invested in this platform. I've got to be aware that shit can happen, but I don't think I've done anything wrong.
No, absolutely. And
that's the bit that fucking annoys me. If I'd done something wrong, then fine, I'll hold my hand up and go, should have done that. But it's been fucked regardless of what I've done.
Absolutely. And for me, it's the you can see the incompetence at the management level when it's, it's every 3 months for the last 6 months, we've had another bit of bad news or another problem. And they've like sat there and come out in some of these comments where they've said, oh yeah, so we did emergency triage, and then we were reviewing the situation. We were trying to keep dividends as high as possible for as long as possible, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but that means you knew there was a problem back in January. At the earliest, you knew there was a problem back in January. And you have then continued to put out comms that are implying a positive narrative, which will get people confident, boost confidence, trying to force people into trading and pumping more and more money in. You have then basically looked at it, and you have absolutely led to the absolute peak of the mountain, and then pulled the rug out from people at the 11th hour and shafted them with probably the worst counter news to what everyone was expecting. And they should have seen Twitter. They should have seen what people were saying. They should be monitoring that shit all the time to have an idea of where the sentiment in the community is, and if they are putting out comms which is massively misleading the community, or the community is misleading themselves. But they should step in with a duty of care to say, look guys, it's not Germany, it's not this. You need to rein it in a bit. Don't go nuts on certain things, because there's news coming. We can't tell you what it is, but it's not Germany, or something like that, just to cool the jets of people a bit, rather than just sort of like sit there. It's either like mute, or it's like, yeah, everything's great, rocket strength, it's all brilliant. That's what infuriates me most.
Yeah, it's just like, you can talk about months, years, in fact, of like over promising and they're delivering or whatever. Like, we have over expectations at times, but if we just narrow in on the past 2 weeks where you're talking about minting and things like that, it's scandalous. It really is. Like, it's just so, it's like to keep them hanging, the market, like things, they didn't need to do it. They didn't need to announce the Q&A and like keep us hanging, but they did it anyway. And then like 500 questions, he comes back with like a 5-answer sheet, and then you know what I mean? It's just constant nonsense. It's just there's just no need for it to be done the way that they've done it, and that's why we are where we are. And it's just like, you talking about like, so I said it already about resets and things like that, and it's just like, I just don't think they're capable. I just don't think that they're capable to do the job, and that needs to be stopped, because I don't know where we turn now, but the confidence is totally shot in them. Like, they can't be restored in them personally. It can't be restored in Mike Bowen. It can't be restored in Adam Cole. It can't be restored in Kieran. It's just like, how can they come back from this themselves and like convince people that they're going to get it right? Because they've literally just shafted us completely. Like, we've gone from a dividend rise 30% to like 100% to like new dividends added to taking them away to like then cut them back down, dividends down by 70%. It's just like, what the fuck are you playing at? Like Jesus, like, sort your shit out. It's just
absolutely. And they must have done some modeling of what they thought order books would look like, what that would do to the market, and how that would affect their commissions. If they didn't, they're just fucking stupid. And, they must have known that that was going to cause a dip in the market, and they must have known that that would impact their commission. And they should have had the dividends in a position where they were manageable if there was a dip in that, or if there was a dip in market confidence. And they knew COVID was going on. So they knew people's finances were going to be stretched, and people would be looking at exiting funds or rebalancing their books because people have been out of work or furloughed or God knows what. And so they should have known all of that. It was all well aware. My company, we were having fucking meetings every bloody day back in March about COVID and what it was going to, how it was going to impact our business over the coming months, and what we needed to be aware of to make sure that we stayed on track. So we're not a big company, but we have people that actually know what they're fucking doing. Right. I'll let you have one last closing statement.
Before I forget, so you guys were talking regarding the whole Guardian article, and so Bloomberg, I heard something today as well, like some story or something. Is that the direction we need to go? Do people think if they go down this route of getting them held to account publicly for what they've done, that's going to help us get our money back? I'm not convinced. I don't know if that money's there to refund. If people think that that's the reality, that's a possible reality, I'm not convinced. I don't know. I only see takeover. I see the only realistic way this possibly could work for us, any of us, is takeover. I just don't see how there's an alternative, and people go, oh, but the reputation's in the mud and all that, but it can be fixed. It can, and it's there's still the fanatical user base, the obsession for this product, the people's desperation, not just financially, just because they love the game, and they want it to work. So people, I just don't know if if people are going to zero in on this publicly and all that, then fine, okay, it's going to happen, because it's an absolute shit show. It's likely, but I just, from us, from a user base perspective, I'm a little bit. I just want to take over. Just give us a takeover, please.
I think that's what people are trying to push for with the newspaper articles and stuff like that. It's trying to apply pressure to the management. So what they're trying to do there, I think, well, people can have their view and say in a minute, and put in the comments if you disagree. But I think one of the main things is trying to force a change in management, because if you shame the company to that level, and you've got people who have come in through seeders that are putting their money into football indexes and investment, they will be applying pressure to the board now, because of this tension, the negative press it's driving, and the level of attention it's gaining. And I think that's what the goal here is, to force a change in leadership, because if you force a change in leadership, we can hopefully rebuild and get a different direction going. But while we've got the current people, it is just, where the confidence is shot. Right. Carl, we'll go to you, mate, and then Ben will come to you after that. So, Carl, you've got 10 minutes, mate. What do you want to say?
Well, I'm probably going to come back with a couple of questions, actually, but back to what Cal said right at the start. You're obviously adopting your change the way you're investing and researching by the way they changed the goalposts constantly. IPDs. So then you manufactured your own thought process about how you would look at your spreadsheets and what was the best purchase price and what levels, spreads. For me personally, I was averaging down since Black Sunday. I don't know about anybody else, but I was in heavy on quite a few players and trying to average down. But I just wanted to quickly go to a couple of things. So you mentioned about Joey. Hopefully he's from the Athletic, so hopefully logging on and watching this, and that can go out. Back to Findex and what he wrote earlier, said earlier even, forgive me, is I agree. I think you're caught between a rock and a hard place, aren't you? You don't know whether to fight the issue and cause more damage per se, or whether just to sit back and be quiet and let it self-implode. But I think, like everybody from a human level, is that everyone's going through those emotions. Like you, Findex, last night, I didn't sleep also. Had a conversation with the wife today, like many, and she's taking it better than I did, and I'm grateful for that. But just again, maybe back to you, Stu, quickly, because obviously by the time the call went live. Maybe I might want to reiterate those numbers that you spoke about that right at the start of this call. Perhaps people missed that, and I think that's quite relevant.
Yeah, so absolutely. So basically, guys, what I've done is I've done some very quick, dirty analysis on, does this improve FI's financial viability? Let's crunch the numbers. We've got enough data available out there that we can look at this. So what I've done is I've gone and looked at it. I've said, right, okay, we know the issuance of like how many shares are in circulation for the top 1,800 players. That's any player that's got over 5,000 shares. That's published by FI. We know we can get off of their data center who's won dividends in the last 100 days. I just did the last 100 days because it seemed like a good number, and it also fit on one page, so it was easy to copy and strip it into a spreadsheet. So the last 100 days of PB wins and MB wins. And then what I've done is I've said, right, okay, that was the old dividend structure. What would it look like in the new dividend structure? Now, the main difference here is media. So media, over the last 100 days, they've paid out about 1.4 million in media dividends. If they were doing it under the new structure, they'd have only paid out 300 grand. So that's about 20% of what they've ended up paying out over the last 100 days. That is where they're making this massive save in this new dividend structure. Now, the PB side of things is more complex because I've only got enough data available to me at the moment to compare it with the actual winners. And we know that there'll be 5 winners instead of 1 winner. So you've got to look at it slightly differently, but they paid out 4.8 million over the last 100 days broadly. And that works out at sort of 873 grand for those exact winners. So if you then take that number, multiply it by 5, because there are 5 winners each day, you get yourself to about 4.3. So they're making about a 10% saving on that side of things. So they make about 400 grand saving. So saving about 4 grand a day in dividends on the PB side of things, but a massive saving on the media side of things. So that's where they've really hit us, is on the media side of things.
Okay, yeah, just a couple of points again, like you mentioned last night, Stu, and hats off to you guys for that podcast. It sat well with me, and I very much needed that at the time. But about the Samaritans, I think that you touched on that last night, and I think that anybody that's having a hard time today, I've tried to reach out to a few people and just to make sure they're okay, and going through the motions today, which we will all go through, the anger side and being pissed off, really pissed off. Again, going off a completely different tangent, back to Findex about a reset. I don't know, maybe it's hope that people like myself maybe think it's a reset. Do I want to average down again? Probably not. But do I want to buy out? Hell yeah. I think that's the only solution right now for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things that if it is a reset, that's all very well and good. It's great for new traders if it is a reset, because it takes the platform back to 2017 for anyone that's new to the bloody thing, and gives people a good opportunity. But for anyone that's in it, we have just been fucked. Like, we're looking at prices about 10% of where the peak was, maybe even less than that on some of the top guys. But, you look at the what's on sale at the moment for the prices that Sancho, Messi, Mbappe, they're all going for. You're down to about 10% of where they were 9 months ago. So it is just...
And this goes back to it as well, Stu, doesn't it? Again, the conversation you guys had last night is they can change the goalposts once again. Once they get enough user base, I don't believe in this 4,000 traders per day. That's bollocks. From my personal opinion, you've got 60,000 followers of Football Index alone on Twitter. I don't think those numbers add up. The numbers were run today by somebody. They don't add up based on the trading levels. That weren't traders. Something just doesn't sit right across the board, and hasn't done for a long time. I was against you. I know you've commended a lot of people to not apologise, but I do personally feel like I've not seen enough red flags, and I've been quite naive. I almost want to apologise to some of those guys on Twitter. I wasn't bullish or rude to these guys, but I think they were trying to give us some flags there. You could almost think, Stu, to a certain extent, one of those was the financial director that was just currently left, but behind an alias. You don't know.
Yeah, this is the problem. There has been a massive schism in the community, and to be honest, it's social media anyway. People don't like narratives that don't align with their own personal views, and that goes for politics, it goes for religion, it goes for football index, it goes for all things in life. Bloody football teams themselves, and if there's one thing that I'd say to take out all of this, it's try and listen to people whose views you don't agree with, because it will try and broaden your thinking, and it might help you out and see some things that you might not otherwise see.
That's the thing though, Stu, sorry to interrupt there. That's the thing. I run the numbers in my head. It wasn't sustainable. And yet somebody was telling me in my face exactly the same thing, but because I'm trying to protect my investment, you guys touched on it last night, you become defensive. You automatically, it's a natural trait. You become defensive, you kick back, you ignore, you block. And in hindsight, that was a fucking nightmare I've done there. An absolute nightmare.
But it is, and traders were caught in the perfect catch-22 of, what do? Do you share the bad news or the concerns because you are concerned, it's keeping you awake at night, you want to share it with other people and hope that you're wrong or you've missed something or something like that. But by doing that, you drive uncertainty into the market and you crash the market and you cause the problem you're afraid of. So what ends up happening is a lot of micro conversations in WhatsApp groups or bits of Twitter or individual DMs going on where people are trying to feel this out. And there's the odd brave bastard that sticks their head above the parapet like Quinny, who just then gets absolutely ripped to shreds by the wolves, because they are, we are protecting the product and you are undermining the product, you're putting us all at risk. So there is no winner in all of it. It is just you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You're backed into a corner, and Football Index are just sitting there rubbing their greedy mitts. But yeah, thanks, Carl. I'll come back to you again in a bit, but let's give Ben a chance. So Maldini, what have you got to say, mate?
Hi there. Thank you very much, first of all. But can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're all good. Perfect.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. I listened to yesterday's podcast with interest. It was obviously a frantic day for everyone. I've never been on Twitter as much as I had been yesterday. I think that it was quite positive Twitter. I think everyone was on the same page. We had a common enemy, and there was no real, aggression like there normally is. And I think overall, Twitter was a good experience. So my FI journey started in 2017. A long time ago, and 2018 I did have a meeting with people because they were asking for feedback at the time. So I went to London with another trader that I didn't know. At that meeting I did saw Kieran. Kieran was quite impressive. He's quite an introverted guy, but he seemed like quite an impressive guy who had his head screwed on well, and I had a good impression from him. But the rest of them, there was about 5 or 6 of the guys, and I don't think I know the names of people, but I was struck with, and for me there was a red flag there, in that they were all very young, and it felt like it was very much their first jobs for them, and there wasn't really, they felt there was a divide between us and the traders. I mean, the traders, as we finished that meeting, I said, well, isn't it a shame that you guys can't invest yourselves? And I didn't really get a sense back like I felt like, oh, we're lucky that we get to trade in this and earn money and get benefits, and you guys don't get to do that because you're on the other side. And they didn't really get that sense, and I never really felt very connected at that point. So that was kind of the first red flag for me. But that's way back in 2018, and we've come a long way since then. And I think when it happened, rather than blame the company itself and look to people outside, I kind of turned on myself and decided, well, you kind of asked for this, you kind of wanted to be involved in something that was high risk, and I kind of wanted to roll the dice and understand that there is a chance that this could go to the moon and what have you. And in the same way that you see stories about cryptocurrency and all kinds of exciting investments that potentially people can get involved with, and there are stories of people making a hell of a lot of money. So I kind of accepted that I was operating in that space. And yeah, I've got some weird and wonderful football knowledge. I know about the French leagues. I know about some esoteric stuff. I like Football Manager, for example. That was a game that I played just to get knowledge for Football Index. And that's the kind of game I wanted to play. And I got a little bit involved with that. I got a little bit maniacal with that. And it was fun for a long time. But along the way, there were these red flags. And on reflection, those red flags, rather than saying that something should change here, there's a problem out there, I was thinking, well, yeah, you need to accept those problems because it's a new company. And although things are quite opaque now, when the professional comes in, when NASDAQ comes in, wow, NASDAQ, what an incredible thing NASDAQ was. NASDAQ was so exciting at the time. I know NASDAQ, I have a financial background, and NASDAQ's a big dog. And it gave it credibility, and it just sort of, I feel duped now, obviously. I did my sums today, and thankfully I'm not as invested as I thought I was. But that kind of information isn't clear from the website. It's not actually, if I've been topping up and then occasionally taking money out, it's not totally clear how much money I put in. It's not easy to find that information. So I went to the bank and did those sums, and yeah, thankfully it's not so critical, because obviously I've been thinking in my head, oh yes, I've got this figure is what I've invested. It's a little bit less than that, thankfully. But yeah, now it's going to stay in there. Since order books came in, I accepted that I couldn't get my money out until order books spikes up again. And so fine, it's still an exciting opportunity, and we still stay along and still part of the journey together. I didn't look at Twitter too much because there was those elements of toxicity, and I think yeah, I mean, Carl's mentioned it as well in his thing when he spoke about the red flags, and I think someone else in the chat also spoke about how with Twitter we're kind of afraid to be honest. We're kind of afraid to say to stand up against it, because if we do, we realize that because we are the market, if there is any negative sentiment, that can kind of weigh everything down. So even if we believe that yes, this is bad, we shouldn't really say it's bad, because that will affect other people. And that's kind of this great big mass lie that we all kind of engaged in, just so that we could get the positivity into the community, even if it was artificial. And if we're really honest with ourselves, and we're totally honest on Twitter, like some people were, most of the time they get shot down. So yeah, it's a fascinating case study. I'm not too upset by the whole thing. I've kind of learned a lot from it in the future, and I kind of still want to be involved with some high risk stuff in the future, even if this one has gone really pear-shaped. I think deep down I thought, yeah, one day it is going to be pear-shaped. I never saw it as a completely mass market thing. I always saw it as a small plucky underdog where some people are going to make lots of money, and that was a cool thing to be a part of. And yeah, I kind of wanted to be part of that. It looks like I'm not going to be, but still, I can't leave. I'll just cream off the dividends as and when, and see what happens. But yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for this podcast. And I took in so much information from all the other podcasts and on Twitter, and it did help. And I was able to sleep quite well last night, just because there was so much that I could consume and then just put it aside and move on.
Yeah, I mean, so one thing I will say, Maldini, if you are looking into high risk, high reward ventures, is one bit of advice I'd give to anyone on that kind of side of things is you need to set yourself a win limit and a loss limit. So if you go in and you go, right, I've got $5,000, I've got $1,000, I've got 10 grand, whatever that amount of money is, you need to say, right, if it drops to 50%, I walk away. If I double my money, or if I triple my money, or I tenfold my money, there needs to be a line in the sand somewhere, at which point you go, I've made enough profit now, I walk away. Because if you do not have that line in the sand, nothing is an infinite money tree. It will eventually come down. Everything does. Bitcoin has, the stock market has, property has, the fucking daffodils in like 19th century Holland did, it's universal across the board. So you need to set those limits, and you can be as crazy as you want with them. You could say, I want to make 100 times my money, but at least at some point you've got an exit strategy to get out of there. And so that's the point, is that's how people actually win. And same with a casino, if you walk in with 100 quid in your pocket and you go to the roulette table, you go to the poker table, you need to say, if I get the 500 quid, I'll walk out the door, because then you will walk out with 500 quid. If you say, I'm just going to play till 4 a.m., you will lose that 500 quid. So it's definitely something to look at it in that way. And I think that's a really useful bit of information, people. On the valuation side of things, I mean, one of the things that I think is back to this whole football index misleading people or misguiding people or confusing the fuck out of people, quite frankly, is how many different versions of like money can we look at for our portfolio value right now? and how many of those valuations actually have any merit or any basis in reality? I think it's the average offer price or something is the one that just shoots it up into the skyline, because it's just basically whatever everyone's left their offers at the market of selling and what they actually want to achieve. That's not a valuation of your portfolio. There is nothing that is showing that is the valuation of your portfolio. Every bit of trading that's going on is nowhere near that milestone at the moment. So to have it as a metric, it is just willfully trying to drive traders into kidding themselves or misleading themselves or confusing them about how much money their portfolio is worth. That is criminal amongst other things. You are actively persuading people that they're in a better position to make them over leverage themselves further and risk themselves further, because they look at those numbers, and if they're not actively trying to sell, they think, oh, everything's fine, it's all in the green, all of my metrics are in the green, it's going up today, that's good. But none of that's based in reality. None of that's based on actual solid numbers that you can rely on when you come to cash out, to the point where when I used to sit there and put my portfolio valuations into my personal spreadsheets of where my assets are and what valuations I've got, I knocked 20% off the football index ones, because I didn't have confidence that even the most skeptical metric was going to be a realistic representation of how much money I might get out of it if I had to. And that's now, well, even less than that. I mean, I'm bloody lucky because I've only got like 1,500 quid in there these days, because I've been gradually de-risking since I put 10 grand in back in, oh God, what was it? September, when they lured me back in with a 10% deposit bonus. And I knew I had that 10% deposit bonus wiggle room, and I'd already had my money to pay for the loft conversion when I quit in 2019. I still have a great amount of personal guilt about leaving in 2019 because I left quietly. I just walked out the door and I didn't say anything. And the reason why I left was order books. I was terrified of order books. I couldn't understand how that was going to be a good thing for the community. And I didn't speak up. And I feel, a sense of responsibility that I didn't speak up and raise my concerns, because there were so many people that were plugging that this was the greatest thing that was ever going to happen to Football Index.
Yeah, but you shouldn't feel guilty on that front, Stuart. I think Ben mentioned it a little while ago. You go on Twitter and you get shot down. So I don't think anyone's to blame, Stuart. And you like you said, you've looked at an exit strategy. You've done that. You've got your rewards, and fair play to you. But clearly, you can't. You're going to get shot down, aren't you? It's clear as day.
Yeah,
clear as day. I could have been one of those people back then. I could have been those. If that was the case. And that's being honest.
Thanks, mate. So, right, let's circle back. Oh, Mark, you haven't had to say yet. So, Mark, are you there, mate?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. 2 seconds. I'm just literally pouring myself a drink. You've interrupted me at the wrong time. Literally 2 seconds. It's literally pouring in, and I'll be good to go in about 10 seconds. There we go.
No worries, mate. I will be going to acquire the wine out of the fridge in the not too distant future.
Man, you need to get the wine into you with everything that's happened here.
Everyone knows it's not an Noir podcast if he's not on either the wine or the cheap bourbon.
As long as it's got alcohol in it, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
And to be fair, actually, Stu, thank you for inviting me in. I appreciate it. But yeah, I've actually tried to cut down my alcohol the last couple of weeks, and then tonight I've drunk a fair few shandies, shall we say. So what I want, actually listening to the guys, what I wanted to come on to say has actually changed throughout the night. Listening to people say, obviously, about the different journeys and how they've came on the FI and what's happened and where we are right now. And one of the conversations you were having there about, taking money out and that. Today I had the very awkward conversation with my own wife about where I am right now, and she said, Mark, how much have you lost? Are we losing a lot of money? And thankfully, I was in the position to say, look, love, we have enough in savings that cancels out what I've lost. So my savings were pretty much always level pay with what I had in FI. So thankfully, from that perspective, I feel quite lucky. There will be other people that are not in that position, and people that are not in a position, that's the people that I feel really, really sorry for, that have maybe over leveraged and bought into a lot of the hype, which as a community we have generated ourselves. A lot of the hype has been off our own back. You know, the Q&A, it was just announced as a Q&A, and we were saying that's FI going to the moon, we're just doing this and that. So we ourselves have generated a lot of hype. So somewhere in our own stomachs, whether we don't want to admit to it or not, we bear some, not all responsibility. Like, I'm not going to say we bear anywhere near all responsibility, but as a community, there's some responsibility there that we have to own up to and say we've generated this hype and we've invited this. You know, you heard people saying we've heard red flags, but we kept on ploughing in and putting the money in and believing that at some point this will go to the moon, you know, as is the common phrase now with stonks and all of that other lark that's going on. But I think it's the whole journey. It's very funny if you go back in time, back to the original dividend table about 12 months ago now, when they said they were going to be reasonable and responsible, and the community weren't too happy about it. But realistically, how much of the community weren't too happy about it? You know, you look at an average day, if you log into the app, about 2,000 or 3,000 people logged in out of 150,000. It's a very small proportion. It's a smaller proportion that's actually on Twitter. But nonetheless, those are the loudest voices came to the forefront. We said this dividend table isn't very good. And maybe if FI had have held to the guns at that point in time and said, no, this is our dividend table, we have looked at it, we're not increasing it, and that's it, would we be in this position we are in right now? I don't know if you think that would be the case or not be the case, but it would definitely be something that's a bit different. I look at everything that's happened, and I do think, as I say, as a community, we are a bit culpable. We have slightly encouraged people. We have definitely poked and prodded FI for change. Every announcement has been met with positive, upbeat, this is going somewhere. And Mike Bowen, okay, he's taking over charge now. And last night, when I was in the YouTube chat last night, said I want to be positive about it. I actually look at what has came about, and if you take it for what it is a hugely positive change, because you've got the French, English, German, Spanish, Italian league. Very simplified concept to explain to anyone and say, this is, you pick the best forward, best defender in any one of those leagues, and chances are you will win money continuously. Whereas that wasn't the case. You could have a guy from Laurent beating Man City's Kevin De Bruyne for midfield, and that's not something that can compete very easily to most people. So I think what FI have done is positive, but how they've got there is a shitstorm.
I agree that if you are a new trader, so if you were someone to come into the market blind today, the changes would be a positive thing. You have got a better chance of making cash. You will have a lower entry point, and you will have a better spread of winning opportunities. You'll see more regular dividends. For the new trader, it is a positive story, and I think that's why people are calling it a reset, because it is basically resetting and targeting new business coming in to try and pump up the thing. But it is completely ignored the damage that it would do to the existing traders, because like I said, you do the numbers on the PB, and from an FI perspective, their liability doesn't change massively. You know, there's a small 10% saving they're making there. But from the Jadon Sancho holders perspective, it has changed massively, because they've gone from being able to win like 14p on a PB win plus 14p on the Starman plus 5p on the media that day, that's like 33p. That means that he can justify a price up in like the £10 because that's like a X percentage return. But you've now shanked that down so much that you've basically made him worth 20% of his value instantly, just because people will be sitting there running the sums and going, look, he's got this amount of playing time, he's got this amount of chance of winning, he's going to win these many dividends. How many do I have to win before I'm ever going to make a profit on him? And that's before we even take into commission into account, which obviously is now on both sides of the fence, on the buy and sell side of the fence. So you've got to factor that into how much you're going to think. That puts a cap on what people are worth when you're only paying out these level of dividends. You've got to really keep an eye on that commission to make sure that you're not going to burn through any dividends you make by just selling the guy and paying the commission.
I hear what you're saying, but I think as traders, we know dividends could potentially change. The assumption is that dividends would always go up and up and up, and you'd have to rebuy in after 3 years.
But Mark, sorry to interject there, forgive me, but don't you think the acceleration of the dividend increase last year was astronomical? It didn't need to go up that far to bring it down such a level, Mark. I agree with everything you said, but I do also agree with the terms and conditions. I agree with the fact that they can change the bet and the dividends, but that was just way out of their reach, no?
That's exactly what I've said though, Carl. It's they brought the dividends out. They released a dividend table, and the community basically backlashed against it and said this wasn't good enough. And if I give in, and whether that's Adam Cole that decided we'll go with the community, or it's Mike Bowen or someone's decided we need to change this. But if they had held to the guns at that point and stuck to that original dividend table, would they be paying out £250,000 dividends if Jadon Sancho wins a gold day, which I believe that's the figure, or would they be paying out 100,000? And Stu, I get your point that this would be the respective dividend payments out, but under this new table, if you hold Mbappe, Sancho, and I said this last night, Mbappe, Sancho, Ronaldo, Messi, chances are you will win dividends most week. You might not win 14p, but chances are over a month you will win 14p between all of those players, but you won't win at one go. And from an FI perspective, that's great because you're only paying out 100,000 one week, 25,000 next week, 100,000 next week, whatever it may be in comparison. So it staggers their payouts and it makes it far more sustainable for them to build up commission to then pay out the following week. So I wanted to come on last night and be positive about it, and to an extent, today I was destroyed. Like I said, I had the conversation with my wife, and my wife said to me about having this in savings, and there was a bit of tears and that involved. And my brother had said to me, Mark, you got involved in a Ponzi scheme, and I would never ever get involved in that. I feel so sorry for you. And I had to say to him, Philip, it's not a Ponzi scheme. There is underlying value that underpins every player in the index, but if I have to make it sustainable themselves, I work for a large British bank. We haven't paid dividends this year, but last year we did, because that's just the economy at the moment. The FCA said, you can't pay dividends out because X, Y, and Z has happened. You can't do it. If I have reacted and said, on a Saturday, we're trading 250, 300,000. That's not sustainable for us to pay 14p on a Saturday, on a Sunday, 28p across.
I absolutely hear you on that front, but it's the nature and the way that they're going about these changes that is what is sticking in people's grill. It's things like the fact that you've announced there's still going to be a gold day, when fundamentally we know there's going to be about 4 days a year when there will actually be a gold day now, rather than 104 days a year when it's a gold day, because you've got essentially to hit those volume of matches, you've basically got the final day of the Premier League, when everyone kicks off on the same day at the same time, and you've got the Champions League quarters, semis, and finals. That is it. And maybe like one day in the French league on a blue moon might hit it somehow. So you're saying you've got this free tier match day system, but actually it's only two. And bronzes, you've basically killed it, because you've said there's nothing for goalkeepers on a bronze day, and we're not paying out the tiered on bronze day, and we're basically throwing away pennies and here, there, and everywhere on the bronze day. So you basically then end up with a sort of silver middling thing, where that's going to be where you've got something. Somebody said Boxing Day as well. All right, so there's Boxing Day as well, but in the grand scheme of 104 days down to what, 6, let's call it, 10 maybe at a push, is a massive shift. It's the fact that they knew this was a problem in January, and just when the index was starting to recover, we were starting to see some growth, we were starting to see some stabilization. They've chosen to put out some comms, which, and I know people say it was just a Q&A, but if you look at it, the way Mike phrased it was lots going on at Football Index at the moment. Now that sounds like positive news. That sounds like there's big news that he wants to share from a positive side of things. And then if it was bad news, and he was leaning into bad news there, you don't leave it a week for the Q&A to come out, cancel it with 5 minutes to go, then wait another week with no comms whatsoever, then freeze the market. It just, the approach to it is absolutely ridiculous. And we had back in September, we had Black Sunday. 3 months later, we have no IPDs. 3 months later again, we've completely restructured the dividends. It's like, where is all Football Index statement, guys?
FQ. FI have just released a statement, Stu, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just seeing, sorry, I'm just seeing YouTube light up like a freaking Christmas tree. So let's see what
does it say? It's like, I can't see it because I've got you on the phone, so I can't see nothing.
Right, FIHQ statement. Let's read. Dear traders, we know that the dividend announcement on Friday has caused frustration and disappointment and has been a stressful experience for many of you. Firstly, anyone who is concerned about their well-being, we consider resource fair as safe gambling pages and these mental health resources. We feel that you deserve additional background as to how we have reached these decisions. Over recent months, Football Index has sustained substantial losses. The board agreed a recovery plan aimed at stemming these losses whilst retaining dividend payments. It was hoped that this would stimulate a market recovery, which would allow for higher dividend payments to continue. Blah, blah, blah. This didn't work out. The issuance of new shares and IPOs were part of this, and we thought that this would rejuvenate the market. Our team worked hard to deliver against the recovery plan. We made increased efforts to maintain the levels required when they were at risk. However, it became clear that the important KPIs on the plan were not being sustained to a level that support the ongoing payment of dividends at those levels, despite substantial progress being made against those objectives. While the board worked to form a new plan to retain the maximum sustainable level of dividends, the board decided to continue business as usual until a plan was agreed and adopted. Blah, blah, blah. Somebody's actually already posted this exact comms from customer services in their thing. It doesn't say anything new to me on there. What this says is exactly what I've just said. They knew about this for months. And instead of giving people a heads up that there was a problem or they were reviewing the situation and there was a reason to be concerned, what they have actually done is sat on that information, freaking pumped loads of stuff into the market, driven sentiment and culture up to try and force the market to recover itself. And then they've realized that the writing's on the wall and they've shafted everyone at the peak.
Stu, sorry to interject there. Forgive me. Sorry.
Absolutely.
Again, just to chuck out there, again, soccer, I think it was Soccer Cards today on Twitter mentioned about the fact that NASDAQ was pulled middle of last year. I've not had my own research, so I can't verify that. I've not done so, but I don't know if anyone else has seen that tweet today. I think it came out in the last hour, Cal. You're nodding your head there, but I think that they clearly knew something was not right. For me, I've deposited quite a large amount of money in the last few weeks. Naive again, stupidity, exit strategy, etc. But again, they should have suspended the market and released that information back then. Dividends or not, spreadsheets or not, they should have released that information back then when they knew it. Forgive me, Stu, sorry.
No, I absolutely agree. Pez, if you've sent me a private message about the Athletic, let's have a quick look. Pez, I don't think I've got your DM, mate. Where have you sent me this private message? Is it on YouTube? Is it on Twitter? Is it on Carrier Pigeon? Where do you want me to look? Yeah, Pez, if there's something about the Athletic, let me know. Yeah, absolutely. You jump in, mate.
Yeah, it's just the same shit. Like, it's just the same shit again. Like, okay, they've tried to explain it a little bit more, but it's like going back to what you guys were talking about earlier regarding decisions that they've made, and decisions that they've made from thorough research and like from a solid base of data analysis and all these things. Like they're winging it. They're winging it. They've got a really great product and they're literally winging it. And they're winging it today. They're winging it yesterday. And yeah, we've been naive as hell and like ignorant as hell and whatever. But I don't think most of us really. I don't think there's anyone that like foolishly said, "Oh, they're perfect." And no one's ever said that. We've had our concerns, but some people had more than other. But this announcement now, I'm just like, really, guys? It's just the amount of change that they've put on us in the last 12 months is disgusting. And I don't think if someone was more competent was in charge, we would have faced what we've faced. I don't think it's COVID. I don't think it's this. I just think it's sheer incompetent management. It doesn't need to have happened. And I think this announcement's the same. Sorry, I better go on mute because I'm getting angry.
Sorry for the interjector, but I definitely COVID has to have played a part. That's when they suspended instant sale, and from that very point, it's been a downward trajectory. If COVID hadn't hit and they hadn't suspended it, God knows where we would be right now. We don't know where we would be, but that is the moment where you can literally put a pin in the map and say that's where it went to shit from that very moment.
But the decision making post that, like, okay, that was the trigger. That was the trigger to suspend IS, and then during that kind of empty period where everyone was locked down, they decided that they were going to flip to this half-baked order book. It's just, but they didn't need to do that. They could have brought IS back. They could have, the market never had enough money in it for order books. That's what we've realized. I was maybe a market noob compared to other people, and I thought that we'd get there and everything would be fine. And naivety. I've only had one negative DM, but I had one negative DM saying I should be ashamed of myself for being like. I don't think I've been like blindly like pumping FI for the past months. I've been moaning about them as well, as much as many, but you just kind of think you'll get there. But it's just, maybe COVID was the trigger, but it's a catalogue of bad choices afterwards from when it happened. I don't think, I may be wrong, but I don't think other people in charge, I just have this image now of Adam Cole and Mike Bowen as absolute amateur cowboy Del Boys, and I have professionals. People who actually build things and know how to build platforms. So you talk about Sorare. Sorare is a very well-made platform because the people making it know what the fuck they're doing. Like, we have a wonderful concept that could be brilliant, and people love this game because of the way it was the old system. But we've just got cowboys in charge. We've got cowboys in charge. They can't do this. They're incapable.
Can I ask a question? And anyone that's obviously plugged in can answer this to me. Answer it. If FI, so going back to COVID, because like I said, we both agreed that's where it, and then they made bad decisions. So you're not agreeing, right? So if FI turned IS back on, right, we are now in March, and they're basically saying we are running out of money to pay dividends at the current level. If they had turned IS back on in June, July, August, September, do you think they would have made it to the end of the year?
Yeah, I just think the old system was flawed, but I still think the old system was easy, and it was easy to make money. They were making money. They were making good money in the old system. It was flawed, like the whole order queue, and there was lots of issues, and it wasn't. I'm not saying it should have stayed as is, but like to flip completely to initially a half-baked order book. It wasn't even like a proper order book. They only had one side of it. Like, and that created negativity, and it's just constant decisions that put negativity on top of negativity. So even when you get a bit of positivity, you're worried about all the negative stuff, and it just doesn't ever really cover. But the bottom line is there's not enough money in the market for an order book. You can't have £100 million market cap and with 2,000 footballers and expect to be able to run a fully functioning order book. I don't think it's possible. I'm not an expert. Maybe I'm wrong.
But I don't think you're wrong. Sorry, Stu. Sorry, it's just your show, and I feel like I'm interjecting again.
Go ahead, mate.
Sorry, Stu. But if you feel like they couldn't run a full-blown order book, how do you feel that if FI had turned on IS and Sancho was £15 and they were offering cash out for everyone that owns Sancho £14? Do you think FI, realistically, there's nearly £1 million worth of Sancho shares in the market? Could they have cashed out everyone that owns Sancho at that price and been alive today as a company? Realistically, is that possible?
It's impossible to know, because you are you saying that they're going to, like, if they turned IS on, would the whole thing have crashed, like with the floor caved in? We don't know. Like the old system was geared to go up. Like I see Duba in the comments saying, why was it? Because I said the old system was flawed. I don't say it's flawed. I'm just saying that maybe there was things that could have been better about it. But, or I don't know how, in terms of longevity, like, you know, how does that model scale up to the size that they eventually wanted to scale up to? I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. But what I do know is that I just think the old system was easy, and it drove prices up. And, like, you know, were they not like the fastest growing tech company, third fastest growing tech company? You know, maybe they fudge numbers, I don't know. But the reality is the index was doing okay. COVID came. They decided to make the switch to order books, and it's just been hell since. They've ruined it.
But let's look at it. So back when it was Intercell, back when Black Sunday happened, I said the way that Football Index solved this is they turn Intercell back on, or they act as their own liquidity provider until they get one in, and they turn partial Intercell back on to plug the liquidity gap. Now, people say, was that viable? Was that financially sustainable for them? Right. Well, let's look at the numbers. Okay. So facts that Football Index have said in the past. They have said when the 3-year bet was brought up, they have said the average life expectancy of a share on Football Index is 2 weeks. So if they've got somebody who's trading shares on an average life expectancy of 2 weeks, 99% of people are not winning as many dividends as the commission that they're paying on those shares, which means the commissions funds the dividend payment. All right, so that's fine. What about the fact that you've got to cover the instant sell? Okay, so if you mint a share of, let's say, Sancho at 10 quid. So you mint him at 10 quid and you've got a spread of 50p on him. So you offer him an instant sell at £9.50, which I think was broadly where we were with some of the spreads. Then he's got 50p of dividends he can win before, plus the commission, before you're at risk of him instant selling. You've got the safety net that if there is anything like he suddenly like breaks his leg or dies, you can lock the instant sell function within about 5 minutes, because there were a number of instances where that happened with footballers, where Neymar rolled on the pitch 15 times, everyone panic sold. Neymar was the market was locked down within about 17 minutes. And then over the next 2 days, it would recover again and everything would go again. And Football Index, if anything, made money out of those panic things, because they widened the spreads and people were panic selling at a huge range. So I don't see how them turning back on instant sell at that point was going to put them in any trouble whatsoever. The reason why they didn't like it is they had to have X million pounds sitting in a bank, because they had to have the ability to pay out on every single instant sale there and then if the entire market decided to cash out. That's what they didn't like about it, was that ongoing huge liability bill that they had to manage and hold on to. That's why they wanted to bring in order books. But they couldn't do that now. It's too late now. They haven't got the money. They've pissed all that money up the wall. They had that money and they should have had that there as a massive war chest to be able to cover any kind of dividend structure they were talking about for at least 2 years while they got this bedded in. At least 2 years. And there were so many opportunities along the way when this all went tits up back in September to roll the clock back, or even, like I said, step in as your own liquidity provider secretly, quietly. You didn't have to tell people you're doing it. Just say, we've got a liquidity provider, and start offering the instant sell that way. Nobody would know. Nobody would care. You wouldn't have damaged the market confidence. You wouldn't have worried people. You could have just done it. And it would have been there, and it would have been silent, and it would have been seamless. And you could have gradually taken the ropes off and seen how it performed. And if it's not performing that well, you put a bit more back in, keep it steady and going, and you'd have still been making plenty of money to pay for everything. You know, if money was tight, why the fuck are you sponsoring like some of the football team shirts that you've been sponsoring? Because quite frankly, did you really think that that was bringing in any revenue? How many people have actually joined the index because they saw it was on the Nottingham Forest shirt or something like that? No disrespect to Nottingham Forest, but is that really where people go to decide?
No, but in
platforms?
But in defence, Stu, I think I don't want to defend FI for fuck's sake. I don't want to. But if you think about if we were back to football and we had crowds and we had TV, there would have been a vast number coming through the ranks That for me, I can't say yes or no on that one, Stu. And good luck with getting the wine, by the way. For me, it's just a worry. I think we need to get a takeout, like Findex said. I see that Cal shared about that Nasdaq server earlier. I don't know if anyone else has seen that, the tweet that's come through, that Nasdaq servers were pulled. Cal, can you remind us of the date on that one, by any chance?
Yeah, let me just go back up now a sec.
So while you're digging that out, I'll just share something. So I've done a few of these live streams, and there was one about 3 months ago. There was a guy who claimed to be a former FI IT guy who came out in the chat, and he was sharing a lot of information around whether or not the NASDAQ thing had been completely shanked. He was basically saying that the senior IT consultant they brought in to do NASDAQ had basically fucked the entire thing up and had put the whole thing back by 9 months. I have no chance to validate that he is an ex-FI employee. He was very cagey. He was very key that he didn't want FI to know who he was. So he was very sheltering and using like strange usernames. But there was quite a lot of interrogation of him in the chat. And there seemed to be enough comfort that he knew enough about the people he was talking about, because people like myself had met those individuals and could give descriptions of them and who they were and what they might behave like and stuff like that, that he seemed to know enough to give some credence to what he was saying. So that was another whistleblower effectively calling out the NASDAQ side of things, and how bad it was. And that's something that's been going on behind the scenes at Football Index, if that has been happening, which has not been shared at all. You know, it's just been NASDAQ's great, NASDAQ's on its way, here's the roadmap, you know, NASDAQ's coming. Yeah, but you know, it's like the fireworks factory in that bloody Simpsons episode, isn't it? When is it actually getting here?
Have you got that, Cal?
The last date on here, it says, so they were last seen on the server, I guess, 25th of the 9th, 2020, so 5 months ago, on this brackets. So
again,
screenshotted.
Cal, I don't know if you had any chance to research that at all, but I see that posted on Twitter, but I've not had any chance to research that personally, I don't wish to verify that.
The only other one, obviously, I read all the comments and stuff, and there is a really weird one underneath. So I'll shout out Index Riddler, who commented this underneath. Obviously, I don't know how much verifying has gone into it again. But there was an account made literally with the at like football and a load of numbers. This tweet is from the 10th of January this year, and it's literally hashtag football index, and then it's got hello, I'd just like to make people aware of what is happening inside Football Index. I have provided proof where I can. NASDAQ has been cancelled. Proof the old servers used to develop the NASDAQ platform were taken offline 3 months ago. The servers. Obviously, that could just be a coincidence. Never know, but there's some people saying it was.
Sounds pretty solid to me, Cal.
Yeah, so it could be someone from inside making the account. I don't know, but
it sounds like a very similar narrative to the guy who came onto one of these streams and was talking in the chat. It's a virtually identical narrative. So it's either the same person trying to drive fiction and they're spreading their narrative through a number of pipelines to try and gain credence, or it is somebody who is genuine and is trying to let the community know the state of play and give the community a heads up of where things are going.
Just quickly, Stu, that was my wife. We are still together, just so that everybody knows on that. And just to, like we did, or you did last night, Stu, share some positivity. I think unless things have changed with Opta, Messi went to top forward. So PB holders, well done.
Right, guys. Frog, can you hold the fort for 10 minutes while I go and get my wine? And, are you there, mate?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, I was just reading some tweets there. Pirlo saying he's out.
Yeah, Pirlo's been saying he's out.
How the fuck does he get out? He must have sold for pennies.
Don't know, mate. You hold the fort. I'll be back in a minute.
I don't even know how that's possible, and you're selling a 3p a share. But hey, fair play. Like, I wouldn't sell for 3p a share. I'd rather just, it's like I said earlier, it's like it's Titanic type stuff now, isn't it? It's like we're sitting on that Titanic and we're just like, are we going to get rescued or are we not? Because if we're not, we're just going down. That's where we
the
are.
We're the band playing the
We're the
music.
band. Captain Stu's the captain now. Like obviously, like John, Stu the captain. He was like the first officer or something because obviously, like so John was the captain, but John's already like had enough and jumped over the side. So, or he's like that. He's like that cruise ship that went down and the captain was trying to get off first. And you're just like, mate, this is not how it works. Like, you might be the last guy. No, nah, I'm only joking, John. I'm only teasing. Nah, it's sad. It's very bleak. I don't know. Like, I hear you guys talking about like Nasdaq and all that, and like we've heard stuff before regarding it was just going to be like the back end and not like the, like it wasn't actually going to be that much, to the thing. But whatever it may be, it's just yet more lies. It's just more lies that just don't need to have happened. And yeah, like there's just nothing that can be believed out of their mouths anymore. So some people will say, oh, it's dead, it's over, it's crashed, that's it, fucked, blah blah. And maybe
Well,
might be.
that's the next question. Where do you see FI in 3 months from now?
I genuinely don't think, like, even if trading like ceases, I don't think that they're totally skint that it's just gonna like disappear. But the reality is trading's not going to come back. You can't reduce dividends by 70% and expect people to trade. They're not going to trade. So like there has to be, and if they did not expect that, I know they've come out with that comms today and saying we're trying to build for the future. It's like, shut up, man. I'm just sick of your shit. Like
So Findex, sorry to shut there.
No,
so I was trying to, again, you try to digress, you try to analyze, you try to think about the next steps. Like Mark just said, where are we going to be? I'm trying to be a bit more listening. I try to listen to people on Twitter, negative or not now. I've learnt my game a little bit, even though I've been on AMI shares for many, many years and I've still not fucking learnt my lesson. But I just try to rack in my brain the calculation, and Stu's probably better than I at numbers, being an accountant. The commission they're going to get off 10 pence, I cannot fathom where the commission is off 10 pence. I think somebody put 1.7 million traded today shares, but where's the commission? 2% in that amount. There's fuck all money in that. Where's they can't survive. They can't survive to the Euros. Everyone was saying last night on the podcast, Euros, this was their best bet. Get the Euros, smash it, push it. Go on, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
No, I was going to say, what's always been this fascination? Like, is this harping back to that World Cup where everything rocketed? And like everyone going, oh, because we've got a European competition, it's going to be fucking unbelievable. Like, shut up. Like, I've never believed that. Like, I don't know. I think the foundations of the building have to be strong, and they're not. And it's just cracks are appearing all the time, and they're getting bigger and they're getting deeper, and it is crumbling. But like, buildings can be fixed, but I just don't think it's by these people. Like, I think if no one else comes in, this just drifts, and we'll eventually get an email saying, sorry, we've had to shut it down. And and then what do we do? Like, then so, what the fucking problem is?
Just quickly on those exact numbers. So do we say it was 1.7 million pounds traded today, or
shares?
1.7 million shares.
I might be mistaken, by the way, guys, so forgive me.
But let's just say it is shares, and let's say that was an average of £1. If it's an average of £1, then they make 4% commission because they make 2% on the buy, 2% on the sell. That means they make 68 grand today on those moves. Now, if you look at the last 100 days, what those dividend payouts would be under the new structure on that rough rule of thumb, you're looking at 47 grand. So they've got like two-thirds of their income is on covering dividends, and then they've obviously got to cover all of their marketing budget, their overheads, their staff costs, etc. So it gives them like 20 grand a day to cover that. So what's 20 grand times 365? You're looking at sort of like 7 million to cover your full company structure and your marketing budget. that is not a lot of money for the kind of marketing that Football Index is doing. Because I don't know how much the boards on a Sky football match is, but I figure it's six figures probably.
But is that not
knows?
Stu, forgive me, as an accountant that you are, is that not accounted in to previous budgets and or forecasts, whereby that's paid out not incrementally but all as cash up front? That surely can't be at a burn rate now, can it? Surely that's got to be
So I just very quickly clarify, I am not an accountant. I am a
Sorry,
business planning manager.
Right.
I'm an analyst and a business planning manager. I work for an accounting firm, but I am not a qualified accountant, but just to make it sure before somebody goes and pulls
so basically
out.
all the numbers you've run to date is shit then, basically. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely, yeah. But no, I do have a good knowledge of math, better than most accountants in my experience, but that's a nice little dig at the accounts.
Better than me, mate, because you've got out fucking early enough. I've only got 1,500 quid in.
But the it's working out all these things, and I don't know because I'm not in the marketing department, but I imagine that it could be something where you agree up front at the start of the season. You can have like 20 games that you get this, or it could be on a match by match basis. I don't know how these things work. I know there are a few guys that were in marketing that were on last night's stream. I don't know if any of those guys are about today that might be able to share in the chat if they know how these things work or know how much revenue it costs to put some of these sponsorship deals together. Something like the shirt sponsor, that's going to be a start of the season. That money's gone. You don't need to worry about spending again. But the radio adverts, the football, Live Sky adverts, I wouldn't be surprised if those are kind of pay as you go arrangements, which means they've got to fund those. And if not, those, they've got to fund next season's or the Euros if they wanted to do a massive advertising campaign in the Euros. And they've still got, all their operating costs and, servers and Opta data costs and everything else that goes with all of that.
And developers on 90 grand a week.
Yeah. So it is 7 million is not a lot to run a company of, that scale.
Especially when you're maybe paying out £250,000 in dividends on one player on a Saturday. I think, when you hear those numbers, I know you're not an accountant, you're just kind of doing on the back of a napkin kind of thing. But when you hear the numbers as they are, you realize why we are where we are. And I think one of the guys said it last night, why didn't they take the sledgehammer to it sooner? When on IPDs, when the IPDs are gone, and by the way, we're hammering PB. We are doing the full reset that's came up so often tonight. We are just going back to square one, and that is it. Get it over and done with. Get the bad news out all at the same time. Don't have people hanging on, believing that this will continue going, because that's what people believed. And in the build-up to the announcement, they believed that not only was it going to continue, it was going to get better and improve. And
sorry, Mark. Forgive me again. Sorry, Mark. Touching on that, Cal said earlier, right at the start of the call, about changing the investment or trading strategy that he had. He flipped to, forgive me, Cal, if I get it wrong, by the way, IPDs.
December was like IPDs.
Smaller players.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then literally they pulled that, right? Forgive me, yeah, if I get this wrong. They pulled that, and then they go premium players, unless mistaken, right? They go premium players, and now it's back to low end market. So then you sold out, unless mistaken, to recover any gains and losses. You went premium, and then you pulled back out of premium and went now back to low end.
Well, yeah, because I pulled out and I had a bad feeling. And obviously, like I said earlier, like hindsight's a great thing. I looked at the dividends and I thought, well, if everything's coming down, then surely these have to come down. And like I said, I had a cash balance there, and I thought I was so tempted to just get it all out. But love the concept, love the idea, and everything that's obviously I should research myself, whatever, but everything that they're saying is we're getting bigger, we're fine, we're building for the Euros, we're building for this, we're building for that. Like, so I took 25% out and thought, right, I'll keep that. To be fair, originally I took 50% out and I kept 50% in. And then there must be, I think there was an announcement or something the next few days. And I thought, I want that back in. I need to buy this guy, this guy, this guy. So it's just, they're saying one thing and then doing another. Like, I know we keep circling back to different things, but just little stuff like they're saying they're in a bad way or they can't keep up this thing financially. But like you said, offering jobs out for 100k salaries, or maybe that is a necessity. Maybe they need that. Maybe that's what the going rate is. I don't know, but surely they can handle it different ways.
Only for Cal, in my humble opinion, again, if I look at the bigger picture, it's gutting to say it because I'm going to lose a lot of money. But for me, their venture is Index Labs. They are trying to sell this fintech to other countries for other sports across the globe. They will dump FI, but it will reverse back in their face if they're not careful. If they don't help us out right now, they will face the consequences.
That's another thing. I've obviously had a lot to think about today after obviously announcement of whatever, and like there was a time last year, I got in the index probably a few months before there was talk of order books. So I was in that old part, and I'll happily admit I lost money in that old part, and that is down to me being a bad trader. Now I've just lost money for the last 24 hours, not with me doing bad trades. It's the company. That's what I've lost my money on the last couple of days. It's not me anymore. Like, I accepted that I lost money through my own trades, and I accepted that as right. That's me learning what I need to do. That's the cost of me learning. Now I'm going to build on that. And now I've hopefully built that knowledge, built on that, trusted they're going to do right, and it's just gone south.
Yeah. So guys, I'm just going to bring Ben Maldini in for a bit because you've been quietly sitting there enjoying your drink, Maldini. So any further thoughts you'd like to share?
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, I've been patiently. I've been listening. I've been enjoying it anyway. That £7 million was quite an interesting number because I mean, if there's only 3,000 or 4,000 active users, that's a lot of money that each person has to contribute commission-wise to getting the system up and running. There was one other thing I wanted to talk about is that, you know, what part does luck and the fact that this is a balancing act play in this? Because when order books happened, they kind of rolled the dice on order books, and had more people been involved, had it gone the other way with order books in those early weeks, then we wouldn't be here today. I think when a problem happened, they were poorly managed, but it spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. That order book's decision, going with a liquid market of say 140 million, where I think Panda said it needed 450 million to make sense. So if you're going live at 140, and then we're in this position, what does the business do now? You know, if you see in Hollywood, you've got a disaster movie, you've got an asteroid coming to Earth, and the president has to decide: do we tell the people? Do we don't tell the people? If you tell the people straight away, there's a panic. Everyone leaves, and everyone leaves the city, and lives are lost that way. If you panic the market, if you panic people, then FI would have a big problem. So I can kind of understand why there wasn't total clarity when order books happened. Oh, we thought it was going to do this. It's going down. Problems. And then what I'm trying to say is I can kind of forgive them for not giving us all the information. The last 2 weeks have been a catastrophe, and I think that could have been handled better. And we were on tender hooks trying to wait for that Q&A. It never came last Friday, and then it never really came this Friday either, and we had the statement instead. That's unforgivable, especially with the minting shares issue. But I don't know, I kind of philosophically, I wonder how unlucky they've been, as opposed to incompetent, as opposed to cynical. You know, I don't have a lot of goodwill towards them. And goodwill is really what this is built on. And the final point I wanted to say is, if they start advertising now for the end of the season for the Euros, every penny they spend on advertising it's not going to be as efficient as it was before, because as soon as someone gets interested in the brand, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to check Twitter, and then that's it. They're not going to join. You know, even if they're interested in some ad, if they've heard it on TalkSport, or if they've heard whoever's talking about it, the advertising they spend now is not going to be as potent before. You can't turn this ship around by spending a ton of money on advertising. But yeah, those are the points I just wanted to pick out. But thank you for giving me the opportunity. But I'm happy to just listen in. And
yeah, you're spot on, mate. Because like, you know, if we look at it, Talk Sport advertising was what got me into it. So I listened to it every day for like a month, and eventually I went, screw it, come on, let's have a punt on it. Let's see what this is all about. But that is nowadays, there is so many people that have been involved in this in the UK, that most people who are going to dip their toe in this water probably know somebody that have dipped their toe in the water, or they'll see Twitter, or they'll see Trustpilot, or Facebook, because there's the whole Facebook community as well. There is so many areas now for you to go and get information from people who are absolutely fecking livid about Football Index and will want to burn that house to the ground and everyone that's left in it. And so you are fighting a complete uphill battle. You've gone from a free advertising campaign where the traders were basically going to sell it for you because it was a complete no-brainer from their perspective. Everyone was minting money. It was an upward spiral. It was great. We were loving the game. We were loving the platform. We were loving life. To, you know, people being a bit skeptical, to people being outright hostile, and it's almost toxic, you know, kind of environment for new people to come into. And, you know, I remember back in the day being very present on the forum and stuff like that. And, you know, it's all about how do we coach new people in, how do we share the knowledge, how do we share things. You can imagine people coming into that environment now, the Twitter or whatever, hey, I'm new. How many people are going to shoot a shot across their barrel of get away now, get out now, don't do this, don't do that, beware of this, they've just robbed me of this. That's the narrative that's going to be out there lurking for anyone that, you know, is new coming into the platform. And those of us that you know are here and are sort of trying to keep it in, or feel like they're trapped in and therefore have got to wait it out anyway, you know, we're not going to want to, you know, missell somebody. So we're going to probably either be mute, or we're going to be giving them a cautious, you know, you should be aware of this and you should bear this in mind before you step in. So all of that means that while the platform is designed for new traders, Christ, how do you get new traders through the door and keep them when that's the prevailing narrative from your existing user base?
But you've got that question, like you said last night, Stu, about the human level. We've got a lot of money invested. You know, we've lambasted these guys that have tried to educate us and give us the red flags. What do we do to new users? Because I've welcomed new users and just said, you know, welcome aboard, just been polite. But what do you do now, Stu? That's the fundamental question. And I think the topic we do need to raise, I think Cal done it on Twitter earlier, is the minting of shares, the minting of Sancho. Yeah, and all the other things that they've done is just crazy. We just need to, you know, I know that there's probably lots of people watching on YouTube that are really fucked right off like I am. And we need to raise some topics such as minting and the other Cal point that you raised as well. Maybe you want to touch on that. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, Cal. On you go, Cal.
I gotta go right now, guys. Sorry. So
no worries, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Hopefully you'll do it again soon in a bit more of a positive. But no, thanks, guys. See you soon.
Star car. Cheers, Cal.
Cheers, mate. If you want to quickly put in the YouTube chat what your Twitter handle is, or wherever people can find you, because I'm sure people will be spamming me tomorrow, and I just can't keep track of everyone's. Yeah, if you want people to know, just post it up there.
Yep, cool. Thank you, mate. Cheers, guys. See ya.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Catch you later.
Paul.
See you, Cal.
Cheerio.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, go back to what Ben was saying about like mistakes that they've made. And sorry.
Did you want to talk about the advertising? Or
No. It was more to do with like you saying about the mistakes that they made and not knowing what was going to happen and things like that when they introduced the order books. How could they have known what was going to happen? But I just go back to that thing that they said about that Mike Bowen thing about or it might be Mike Bowen, Adam Cole, the FI as a company, but they said that they know that they won't be able to introduce order books without market makers, and they did it anyway. Like, so they knew that was going to be a problem. So, and this is where it all stems from. It all stems from this. And like, we can talk around in circles about every dividend increase and decrease and everything that they've done since bringing in new dividends and scrapping them a few weeks later. Like, it's just all on the back of the fact that they made a switch over when the product wasn't ready. And it's just killing us. And that's the really scary. Like, I'm quite open with my mental health problems, and I've been trying to kind of raise awareness for that for a lot of years, and I'm scared for myself. Like, I'm not in a good way, that's it's partly the rest of life kicking me, but this is just too much. Like, the amount of people that I've gotten involved in this, and I have to face them, and it's like, it's so hard. I feel so guilty. The levels of guilt I feel within are just off the scale, and like, I don't feel like I've done anything wrong to deserve this. Like, I was doing
but Findic, let's talk about that then, son, because Stu mentioned Samaritans yesterday evening. So why do you feel guilt then? Forgive me.
Well,
why?
I feel guilt in the sense of like for example, my old man, like he wasn't sure about this for a while, and then he didn't put any money in, and then he was like, then he seen how much money I was making, and he's like, okay, like, I'll get involved, and ever since he's gotten involved, it's just all gone to shit. And I'm just like, and like, that's, and then I've got mates, I've got numerous people. I was in a pub in Inverness, and I got a guy to put 50k in a football index.
Wow.
Right, like, a guy, I convinced him of this product. Like, I don't know, I've not spoke to the guy. He's not a friend of mine. As a guy I met on a night out, and we talked a little bit later, and then we obviously just drifted apart. But I genuinely got some stranger to put £50,000 into this product. And
someone had 50k in Inverness.
I know, you go for a few fucking pints and watch the football, and you end up fucking increasing the market cap. It's great, but no, like, it's just
the bottom line is, Findex, let's be frank about this.
Yeah.
And I've been where you have been, adamantly. I've got no issues sharing that with you guys. But the bottom line is, Findex, you didn't go into it with that conversation, maybe in a pub, maybe having a pint, wanting to make money out of that fella.
No,
you just said you just wanted to share a potential life-changing thing. Yeah, that's it, Findex.
Yeah, no,
nothing,
you're right.
Nothing,
you're right.
nothing more. Yeah, nothing more. Nothing. Same with the old man. Nothing more. Nothing less.
Call him Frog, please, Carl. Call him Frog, not Findex. Just call him Frog.
We've never met before, but that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. You've met Frog, Findex, whatever your name is, my friend.
Anything, mate. Whatever you want it to be.
You had a nice pint with your old man, and you just said, "Look, this is the money I'm making." End of. There's just nothing more. You should not feel guilty for that. And I want to share that. And I said that to Stu before everyone was online. All the guys on Twitter, whoever's watching this now, should not feel any guilt at all about sharing positivity and about potentially life-changing money. Yeah.
No, can I talk like Geraint Forshaw in the comments? Sorry to call you out, mate, but he's saying he's a fool to do it with no research. Like, anyone that, whether it's my research, whether it's someone else's that I've advised to join the product, and they've done their research. No amount of research could have prepared for the catalogue of errors. Yeah, some folk might turn around and say, oh yeah, well, some people had foresight to see this was going to go this bad. But I genuinely think it's harsh to try and say that people should have known that it was going to be as shit as it's got to, and that's the problem. It's like, you say I shouldn't feel guilty. Like, okay, Like, probably not. People make their own decisions and stuff, but like, it's not the point. It's the combination of things. Like, my thing's a bit bigger. I lost my job a few months ago. I struggled to find work with COVID. I had a big dream to be living in Edinburgh by now with my daughter, and it's been ripped away from me through the job loss through FI. Like, so it's like a combination of lots of things that have led me to this fucking hellish situation that I find myself in right now as we speak. And yeah, it's just crap. It's like, but I'm not alone. I know 2020 and it's been a prick for most people, and like, we're all in the same boat in terms of football index, but like, it's just so unnecessary, mate. It's just like, we don't need to be in this situation. Like, the level of strain that they have put on people, the level of stress, like, like, so whether it's people with 1,000, like, I speak to so many people, I'm in groups, I speak to whatever, and I've got people that have got a £200 port, £300 port, and they've lost their shit over it, and rightfully so. It's their money. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, people might go, oh yeah, but if it's hundreds of thousands, it's all relative. It's all relative. It's all relative. And
this is the point missing on Twitter. It's relative. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to name the number that I've lost, but it's all relative to where you're at. I feel I'm hardened because I've been on AIM shares. I've had too many drinks. Forgive me already. But I feel hardened. But there should be no criticism of any trader, whether you've been negative about it or positive about it. You've believed in a concept. I think it was touched on last night, Stu. You can verify this. The concept is still there. It's phenomenal. It's just the brand. The brand's fucked. Absolutely fucked.
Do you? That's a good point, because I've had this discussion a lot today, and I keep coming back with the same thing about a takeover, and I keep getting hit back. I keep getting pulled back from people saying, oh, but the brand's in the mud, the brand's dead. But I don't know. Am I being naive? Am I being wrong when I say, if a big boy came in with like deep pockets, and we're talking like, a serious betting industry, 365, like Betfair, whoever it may be, if someone came in with deep pockets and said, we've got the bases and the following and the user base of a fantastic, something that could be fantastic, and just snapped it off these cowboys for peanuts, then like, surely there's a recovery potential there. Or am I just being naive?
No. Frog. The concept would be incorporated within Betfair, and I think we spoke about last night again with Stu. The concept would incorporate within Betfair, but the name and the brand of Football Index is gone.
Yeah.
I think it depends on how they integrate the concept. I was a big wrestling fan back in the day. I don't know if any is like wrestling back in the day. But when WWF bought ECW out, they didn't incorporate ECW. They incorporated WWF into ECW. They didn't bring across the brand, which was very loyal fan base for the wrestling was ECW. So there is a danger that Paddy Power, whoever, and I thought Carly made a great point about the Bet Labs. I think it was the Index Labs, and that's obviously the holding company, and that they have grand ideas. They were talking about a tennis index and all this. So do you buy the company, or do you buy the idea of Football Index from them
the
and the users
and stuff,
and integrate that to something? But I think that's a danger. And I just go back to that ECW Extreme Championship Wrestling was brilliant. They had a very loyal fan base. WWF bought it over, and they watered it down. It was not the same product. So there's that danger that a bigger player could buy it, and just they don't care. They don't have the same.
It can't be any worse than it is now, though. So it might as well give it a shot.
There was a lot of talk on Twitter today about the money men behind both Adam Cole and Mike Bowen, about them being puppets. I don't know whether that's true or not. I think, I don't know, Frog, but maybe that's the case. I think that's the case, possibly, though. There's the money that they're burning, the cash burn from the accountant Stuart, is that then there must have been money behind it. There must have been. The concept is phenomenal. That if someone doesn't take this out, I'll be shocked.
It's the user base as well. People go on about, toxic this, toxic that. Like, don't get me wrong. There's been times on Twitter where people are like just like off the wall, just silly and just like taking things too far and being totally toxic. But I don't think it's any different to real life. Social media is destroying the world in its own way outside of FI. It's not just FI. So, watch that Netflix dilemma, that Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma. You'll learn a lot. Social media is literally a cancer of society.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And it's not just Football Index Twitter. People seem to think the FI community are like the most horrible bunch in the world. They're not. They're just real people behind the keyboard. And yes, you get some tits sometimes, but like at the end of the day, I still think the fanaticism that people have for this product can lead us to but we don't call the shots, we don't pull the strings of the puppet, whatever. But like we need people competent. I heard somebody say earlier regarding like so them selling the tech to
Index Labs. Yeah. Index
Well,
Labs,
to be honest, like I wouldn't hire this company to make a game of Snake
No.
for my old fucking Nokia.
No.
Like they need people who can do this because they can't do it. It's simple.
See, the thing, like, it's come up a few times again, and I hear this on previous podcasts, whether it's John, Fig, or whatever. We're all kind of fanatics about it. We love the concept. But there's about 150,000 users on a Saturday. There's about 3,000 active traders. And on Twitter, how many people would you estimate are active users on Twitter? What, a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen, 100? It is a tiny, tiny fanatical user base. So the idea that actually maybe we're all wrong, we're all living in an echo chamber thinking this is a great product, but if it was a great product, would there be 3,000 active users? Would there be 100 active people on Twitter with handles? You know, are we maybe overplaying this in our mind, how great this actually is, if it hasn't caught on?
I don't think so. I don't think you are. Like the people love this game. Even now, when all this shit's going on in the last weekend, people sitting there, Saturday's PB race. Oh shit, he's only 2 points behind. Oh, is Opta going to kill me? We're still like, even though with all the crap that's going on, we're still fucking glued to it, like desperate. Like that doesn't. It takes time to build something that has that grasp over it and hold.
Is that not an echo chamber though? What you looking on Twitter?
What do you mean by that?
So an echo chamber is.
I know an echo chamber. Yeah.
So if you go on FI Twitter, it's the same users time and time again tweeting about it. I don't really see many new people that I haven't seen already on the timeline.
But that's, I think that's FI's marketing fault. Mark, I completely agree with what you're saying, but the addictiveness of this product is crazy. Gold Days, as an example, my friend, I probably hadn't had players playing at night that were going to win. I was just waiting for the market to explode because, I don't know, a player that should explode. And I was watching the game. I was watching Twitter. I was watching the portfolio. This is crazy. Today, I've not watched any football. I made a stupid statement earlier on Twitter. I'm not going to name my alias or whatever handle, but I made a stupid statement because I weren't watching fucking football. I don't want to watch football today.
So just quickly on that,
I watched Rocky.
So there is plenty of people on the chat asking for people to change their names on here to their Twitter handle so that or have it accompanying it so that people can find you on Twitter because they're enjoying what you're saying, lads.
How do you change it, Stu?
So if you click on your little thing in the bottom, there's three little dots. You can change it to rename, and you can call it whatever you want.
Participants. All I'm going to say is I apologise right now.
See that Scott Robinson comment? I have £36,000 in Football Index. I never tweet. How many people like just sit silently in the background? There's just so much fanaticism for this game. Like people love this shit. But yeah.
So I've just also just had a look at some of the numbers for today on the actual the 24-hour metrics. Because obviously we were talking about that 1.7 million match and all that sort of thing, ballpark. So currently the stats for today or the last 24 hours is 5,000 active traders, just shy, 60,000 trades matched, 2 million shares matched, and a value of 680 grand traded cash. Now, you know, Frog's shaking his head there, but let's say that was for a moment true. If that is true, and that is a typical day going forward, 680, 700 grand traded, that means they've made 28 grand in commission today. They paid out, on average, over the last 100 days, 46 grand in dividends. That is a massive discrepancy between those two numbers to, you know, support, and it's a Saturday today. We know that the weekend is generally a higher trading volume than midweek. So that to me says that the commissions aren't going to be enough at the moment. So they might, another thing they could do is they could look at changing those commissions. That would probably be preferable to them screwing with the dividends further, because at least it doesn't hurt existing holds. Changing the commissions, it only hurts when you try and exit. And that would balance it with the new money coming in. To be fair, if you put it on the buys side of it, you could balance the impact on new traders with the impact on the existing traders by upping the commission on the new traders, or the buy price. So as you're entering into the market, that's helping with the commission. But that's just a thought out there in the ether.
So
Really, we're in it.
Sorry, Frog.
No, you're fine, man.
I had to shut the door because the wife texted me to tell me to be quiet, so I have to be quiet. Stu, I might have missed that just slightly, but somebody raised a very good subject today about, I might have already raised it already, but why didn't they just half the dividends and increase the commission? Unless I'm being stupid, why didn't they do that? Just incremental. And then also somebody else said as well today about the big blow. Why was it spread over so many months? Why not just one blow? Why not just one hammer blow? Why did they not do that?
But they've gone backwards. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
They said why not the hammer blow, but they've gone the opposite way though, mate. Like, they've smashed things with 5 times divs. They've doubled. They've increased it 30%. Then they've doubled it. They've introduced new dividends. They've been upping the stakes while the commissions have been falling, and now they come and hit us with an end game fucking decrease in divs. Like, how does that recover? Like, how do they need prices to increase to make the commissions that they need to move forward? And they're not going to do that. They were struggling. They weren't doing it anyway. And with divs at the levels that they're now, they're not going to do it now. So it's just, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to I don't see how they could think that what positive could come out of what they've done.
Do you know the stupid thing, going back to their narrative that they put out there today? Sorry, about we've reviewed it, and we were keeping an eye on it. We were trying to maintain dividends at the highest thing. Which of these two narratives is a better narrative for us to take? One, the current narrative we have, where there was a 3-month gap and then they've shat on us, etc., etc. Or two, where back in January they give us the hammer blow of absolutely doing what they've done on all of this in one big blow, but with the potential in the back of their minds, because they had that recovery program, that if that recovery program could have been engaged and successful, they could have then announced a positive dividend increase 4 months later to re-energize the market. Now it's the case of they've left it too long. They've had to do an absolute carnage. Looking at the numbers, I'm not even sure if it's going to be enough on the revenue, unless they can really stimulate some new activity in the market. And so, the confidence is just gone, and there's nothing positive from the news side of things to look forward to.
Stu, based on those new numbers that you ran just a moment ago on today's numbers, forgive me, you win it 20k today per day, yeah? Was that sustainable? Forgive me, I didn't.
No. So if they've done 700 grand of trading, 4% of that's 28 grand. Like I said, over the last 100 days, they've paid out under the new dividend structure, they would have paid out 47 grand roughly. It might be a bit less than that, but even if that's out by 2/3, you say 30 grand, you still rinsing all of your money on dividend payouts from your commissions. So how are you funding your staff? How are you funding your advertising campaigns? How are you funding your seeders, backers, dividend payments, or whatever you need to give them to keep them happy? How are you keeping the lights on?
The questions I've asked myself today, and again, it's always good to reflect after a night's sleep. let's be sarcastic about that. Is that they've also got to be funding Index Lab, or there must be a money man woman behind that. I just, where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from? Because if I get myself into the business head, I would want to go down the avenue of Index Labs. It's phenomenal. It's great. You know, I can't remember the guy's name. I shared it the other day. Now that I've got my handle up, that on LinkedIn, he went from front end FI to front end or business manager of Index Labs. Fair play to him. And again, this thing was released the other day, Stu. No, the video on Twitter, the video about building it all up. You had some smart guys, developers on there. And again, I'm probably talking for the masses here, that you had those guys talking it really up, both Index Lab, front end FI, about how phenomenal this concept was. And again, I've not done enough research, so I'm probably talking out of turn. I don't want to be liable for this, but they bigged it up. They fucking bigged it up, Stu.
But yeah, it's all been non-stop bigging up, hasn't it? That's the problem. It's just been, you know, we're on the yellow brick road. It's all golden sunshine, you know, and then it's all flipped on its head and it's death by 100 cuts. The
thing is, you know, like I said, I've taken some hits on AIM even, and I've won some money, I've lost some money, but I've been a dickhead. When it comes to FI, I've been an absolute fucking dickhead. I ain't gonna lie. I sat there watching for a year. I watched for a fucking year, watching everybody on Twitter. I watched the growth of the market, and I bought in. I think August 2019. I didn't do my research. I didn't do fucking index gain. I didn't do dividend returns. I'm a prick, absolute prick. I'm not going to lie. And then I started to learn, and I learned too fucking late because order books came in. And before order books came in, again, it was a slight red flag on order books because of obviously being in shares. But I didn't learn my lesson, and I'm going to put my hands up to that. I'm an absolute cock, and I've only got myself to blame. Absolute. And I know we've been lied to and all that bollocks. And, you know, you've got two sides of the coin. You can either moan about it and fucking absolutely plummet FI, or you can stick with it and try and big it up. But I've bigged it up for too long now. And I've done the same in AMI penny stocks. I've bigged it up. I've fucking gone with the ride. And I'm not going to be part of that. I'm not going to be part of anyone coming in now and fucking losing a fortune. Excuse my language. No fucking way. If I lose my money, I'm not going to say the money. You probably know what my money is now. Now my handle's on there. I don't care. Fuck it. But no one else is going to lose their money. No one. If you want to talk to me, DM me now. If you want to talk to me about mental health, as I said at the start, Stu, you talk to me now. I'm there for you. Please.
Same.
I'm a little bit tipsy. I'm there for you. I'm there for you.
Yeah, absolutely the same. I just wanted to touch on that. People talk about the toxic community this, toxic community that. I'll tell you something. Anytime we get any adversity, this community like amazes me. Like the amount of DMs I've had in the past 24 hours, you know, and like, you know, and the amount of DMs, you know, even the ones I send to people, and you know, like, yeah, there can be a lot of negativity, and rightfully so with what we've gone through. But I just want to I got a message there from a Scott Ward, said he's seen me on the stream and just like, you know, just checking out and seeing if I'm all right and stuff like that. And I've had loads of that, and like, you know, and there's been loads of that going on between lots of other people, you know, I've heard about. And you know, it's good because like we're in hell right now. But I'll tell you something, I've met some wonderful people from this product, and I've met some great friends from this product. And yeah, we don't know what the future holds, but like, I'll tell you something, I'm not going to sit here and everyone go on about how negative community this, that, you know, like, nah, like there's a lot of wonderful people that love this game that are hurting right now. And we just need to stick together because we've not got a choice otherwise, unfortunately. But no, like I think it's really important.
Frog, can I ask your opinion? Because I think it's going to be in the market, Stu. I don't want to wish to take over at all.
You go ahead, mate.
But Frog, so many people are going to ask this question. You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. So you said it. You said it throughout this conversation about, what do we do? What the fuck we do? I'm not selling. But I'm not selling. I just want to get it. But what I'm saying is, do we lambast the company? Do we take them to try to go to court? I don't think we're going to get anywhere. Do we go down a negative press stream? Do we wait for a buyout? I'm not selling anyway. What the fuck do we all do?
Well, I weigh up the options.
Nothing.
Ben?
Sorry.
I would say do nothing. Sorry, Stu. I would say do nothing.
What? No noise on no noise on Twitter. Yeah.
No outrageous negativity on Twitter. No selling.
Stu, we touched on this. You touched on this last night. Sorry to interrupt there, Ben. Forgive me. You touched on this. The guys that were on the call last night were much more articulated than I was. What do we do? The guys were saying, I think there was Zen against the other guy. They're not our enemy. What do we fucking do, Stu? And this is not going to be locked down into you, by the way. If we go to court, not the ECJ, by the way, because that don't exist.
So what have we got? So we've got there's people that are they've got a government petition. They've got a change petition for the Gambling Commission to do an investigation. For me, those things, I'm not convinced that that's going to lead to you getting your money back, because I don't think the money's there for them to give back. So I don't think they could give it back even if they wanted to. You might get some, say if we won some amazing case, we might all get like 10p in the pound or something back, which is probably what we're sitting on now, as a rough guesstimate. I've got nothing to back that up, but that's what it feels like where we're sitting with all of this. The other side of it is the press. Well, the press, I think, is something that's worth exploring, because it applies pressure to the management. And the main thing that everyone seems to agree is the management needs to change. And that is, the best chance for the management to change is to really apply that political pressure there and show that it's unsustainable for the existing management to continue in post. And that will hopefully lead to the investors from the cedar side of things to forcing a change and bringing in somebody that actually knows how to run a company of this scale. And that will then lead the chance for a reset with the culture and with the attitude of the community. And that gives you a chance to then rebuild the platform from that point. But while the existing management structure stays as it is, with the individuals that are there and the attitude and the arrogance, and like people have said in the commentary, not even a fucking apology from what's actually happening, sort of thing. Barely acknowledgement of any kind of stress or damage that they've caused to people's lives here. Can
I touch on that, Stuart? Just
absolutely,
very quickly. So again, on Twitter, people have made complaints to the customer service team, and I agree, they're the only people that will actually respond, but they are human beings. Treat them with respect. They are shop floor people. They are not in the know. Hell no.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. Do not go and berate the poor customer services 15 grand a year, intern. It ain't their fault. They've got nothing to do with it. They aren't even informed. To give you an idea of how well Football Index customer services are informed, when IPDs first launched, I went to the customer services because I was eager to get first mover advantage. So they announced it, the market was frozen for an hour. So we had an hour to gather as much intel as possible. I went to them and said, right, does this apply to every league? Because we had a lot of dead wood on the thing of like the Portuguese leagues and the Russian leagues left over from the World Cup and all sorts. It's like, right, this guy in Russia, he bangs in like 50 goals a bloody week because it's Russian league. Will I get IPDs on him? Here's the exact player. Will I get IPDs on Zlatan in the MLS? What will they be guaranteed? Names some very specific players in very specific leagues. I said, or is it just the core 5 European leagues like everything else? customer services executive tells me it is all players on the index, invest accordingly, off you go. So I went and bought some guy called Dragovic and some other guy. Luckily, I still had doubt in my mind, so I didn't go immediately onto Twitter and tell everyone I knew that they should go and pump into these Russian and MLS players and God knows what, because that would have killed me that I'd have done that damage. And luckily at the time, because I was so heavily invested, I had a personal customer service executive, like the private top end one, that I couldn't get hold of him that night, but when the shit hit the fan and it turned out that was all bollocks, I went to him and I said, look, this isn't on your exact customer service. I've got all the conversation logged, misinformation that's been given to me, and they offered to refund me on the purchase price at the exact rate that I bought in. Luckily, for some reason, the bloody players went up anyway, and I managed to sell at a profit. Football Index being the logical platform that it is. So I said, look, in the end, it's all panned out, but I could have destroyed my reputation. I could have put loads of people at risk, and not everyone's got you that can go and directly complain to. They've got to go from, you need to have your customer services on point with whatever the hell you're doing. And that's the thing. It feels like it's not even training. I generally think it's that they make these decisions with like 12 hours notice. They brief it probably in a 2-minute email to these poor customer services individuals, and then they've got to answer to, serious traders asking really level 12 questions when their little script has probably got 2 notes on it that says, yeah, it's going to be goals and assists, and you pay money on it, and that's the extent of their brief.
You've hit the nail on the head, Stuart. Like I said earlier, I work for a large bank in a call center. And we're the last people to find out any news, and we are the first people that anyone comes to ask questions. And 9 times out of 10, when it's something that's just changed, we're guessing nearly. This is what we've been told. Yeah, we think that's right. And if you ring us up a week later and say I was told that, and it's happened to be wrong, we will uphold your complaint, but we'll just say it was wrong information. And this is a problem with people screenshotting the Twitter the chats I've had with the FI consultants, saying, they've told me this about issuance curves and that. It's like they don't have a clue. They don't have a Scooby. They're just being spoon-fed something and trying to address the question that you've answered them to get you off the line to speak to the next person.
Let's go to that. Go on, Frog.
When you call your bank and you have a problem, I would say 99.9% of the time they give you the information you need to rectify that problem. The sheer randomness of the info through the different channels on similar subjects for months, years. There's been no. It doesn't match up. It hasn't matched up for a long time, and it just all comes down to the original point of just management. It's just poorly run.
Frog,
I can assure you, just
Mark, go on, Mark. Sorry. No, go on. You go.
I was going to say, I can assure you, listening to many calls from many people that work within the bank, they will give out different pieces of information. You can speak to 10 people, ask the same question, and you will get 10 different answers.
Yeah. Okay,
Some of it is partially right, but it's just the nature of the beast that you're dealing with so much complex policy and trying to digest it into that specific question that customer's answering you, and you can't factor that into the template.
So Mark, let's go back to the original point. Yeah. So Football Index customer services, like yourself, have taken a torrent of abuse over many years. Mark, you must have taken a fucking hell of abuse, right? Since 2008, yeah?
Yeah, big time.
Right, okay. So you understand the complexity of the fact of an individual human being at the end of a fucking email. So someone put it earlier, they took a torrent of abuse, quote unquote, AM, all morning. The fucker, Mike Burren, was not where to be seen. Where the fuck was he? The motherfucker. Mark, seriously, yeah? It's like your boss is, and I know you shouldn't comment because this is live on YouTube, I think. But,
it is, and it will be there for posterity, so be careful what you say.
But Mark, I don't give a fuck what I say, because I'm done. But I will protect blood. and I will protect lives. And I said this to Stuart earlier. Football customer services should not be there on a Saturday morning waiting for this torrent of abuse. Where the fuck is that prick? Where is he? Where is he? What a
and that's the thing
prick.
that drives me mad about this whole thing.
What a prick.
We all
He's
know
doing his Delia moment.
Yeah, we
I
all
think-
know that the coward's way out on comms to anyone is you bury the news on a Friday afternoon. The later on a Friday, the better. Because then it gets lost in the weekend, and you don't have to deal with the fallout for it in any way, shape, or form. And particularly if your leadership, you fuck off for the weekend and you come back after all the poor lower staff have dealt with the torrent of abuse and the fires over the weekend. And hopefully other people from the general public have managed to answer most of the questions that you didn't want to have to answer anyway, like these streams. And so that shows the level of the character of the man, and then on top of that, you've then got the inconsistency of the timing of these comms. They've got the audacity to talk about mental health in their postings. There's people that have come in the comms here, right? I got my email at 3 a.m. on a Friday night. I got mine at 5 a.m. in the morning. I got mine at, these are times when there is no customer services there to anyone to go and talk to, nobody in the community, everyone's asleep. People are getting that news that their portfolio is fucked at 3 a.m. when they're sitting there, because there will be people up at that time, shift workers or people coming back from a night, not from a night out because you can't go anywhere, but, from night gaming or something like that you'll just sit there and go, I'll just have a quick look, or see it ping up and it's like, oh shit, it's Football Index, probably look at that. And so, the timing of these comms has been so inconsistent for the whole community that it's horrendous what that's going to have done to people. And that's why I wanted to come on tonight as well, in case people, didn't have the chance last night.
What's funny about those emails? You're saying coming out, like I got mine, I think at about 1:20 in the morning. You're saying people got it at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Do you remember the old emails? You said that this is your overall profit. And literally some guy went on Twitter, went, I've got that email. And then 5 minutes later, 100 other people went, I've got that email. And you could just tell they were all just sent out, pinged out pretty much in order at the same time. But there's me, 1:20, 5 o'clock. That's a, 4-hour difference?
Yeah.
For the same email.
2:15 for me. Yeah. 2:15 for me, brother.
There you go. But that's not on. That email should be mass delivered at the same time. Everyone gets it within a minute or two. Here's your profit and loss.
Well, this goes back to what I was saying. Like, people have said to me about like they know people that could build a platform that works in a month or a week or I can't remember exact. Don't quote me. I'm not an expert in terms of tech design or anything like that. I don't really know. But I have spoke to people that say that there are very smart people that build things that are much more complex than Football Index on a daily basis. They have not failed at this because it was too hard. They have failed at this because they are incompetent at doing the job. That's the reality.
Yeah, that's true. But NASDAQ have an off-the-shelf product that could have done the job much better than the software that we're running at the moment. At the moment, we're running a software which 2 or 3 people have put together 4 or 5 years ago, and it hasn't really been updated. Well, it has been updated and it's got more complex, but the software is still the same stuff. It's 4 or 5 years old.
If we look back on, since we've all been on this, how bad's the tech been since the beginning, Ben? The tech's always been shit. Whether it's all old information on fucking bios or whatever, they've always been shit at tech. They claim to be the fastest growing tech company for that year. It's bullshit, man. They might have grown to that size, but in terms of actual technical expertise, they have been shocking for a long time.
Sure. Yep. I agree with that. I mean, it was also part of the appeal, to be fair. Personally, it was part of the appeal, having dodgy tech, having this startup that's a little bit of a newcomer, a little bit of an underdog. That's sexy as well to me. And I always fob those things off and saying, yeah, the bios are a disaster and the tech is bad. If the tech was superb and run by a Betfair, which is a company a site that I have a little bit of experience with, then maybe we wouldn't get such an upward swing. I wanted to feel that we were at the beginning of something, and when the tech gets on board, we grow together as a platform. So I was always excusing FI for that reason.
Yeah, it's remember, go back to that go back to that podcast with Akash and Adam Cole.
Yeah.
And
I
like,
remember
you
that
know,
one, yeah.
and that Akash guy basically came out, and Adam Cole came out and like, oh, because of COVID, this, and then it was like Akash's baby. I'm the one that built this order book, and I am here to implement this new wonderful change to the index. And then it was just shit. Like, it's just like there are people that wouldn't have made those decisions if it was run by better people.
Yep.
Can I just say
You okay,
something?
man? Are you all right?
Yeah. I just need to go for a wheeze, but I think
No,
I've
I
pissed
know,
out.
but I was just asking from you earlier. You were getting a bit. I could see it. I could see it in you. Are you all right?
No. Yeah, mate, I've lost so much money. It don't matter.
Yeah. So
Salute. Anyway, so I just wanted to say to everybody that's following and listening, it don't fucking matter. Tell your partners, if it's your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your wife, your missus, whatever, heterosexual, homosexual, you tell your partner now. Don't fucking live with that burden. You take responsibility for your own actions, and we will get through this together. End of.
Yeah, well said, mate. Well said. It is. It's a bloody challenging time, and those conversations are not going to be easy at all. But it is better to have them now, and share the information, and you know, because you know the only way can be up from here. It's
Well,
difficult
can
to
it?
see how much gets work. Well, I know we've said that Black Sunday, and I know we've said that.
Like you talk about like COVID and what COVID's done to mental health and suicide rates and things like that, and then you just like throw this on top. Like people always hit you back and go, oh, but you got involved in a gambling product. No, that's not the point. Nobody lost money because they gambled wrongly. Like some people did, but you know, 99.9% of us that are in this situation, or however many percent, whatever, we're in this situation purely based on what they've done. And think of that on top of lost jobs, family deaths, COVID. Like fuck, I don't know how they sleep. How does Adam Cole and Mike Bowen go to sleep at night? I don't sleep. Yes, I have insomnia type things going on with my, but like I'm worried. I worry about myself, but I worry about everyone else too. Like, how does Mike Bowen sleep? Like, how the fuck can you actually go to sleep when you've done what you've done?
But Frog, agreed, 100%, and I probably ranted most of the day. But the thing I took over last night, Stuart helped me and the boys last night, is that there's more to fucking life. I went out with my kids today, and I went to the park, and she learned how to ride. I've got a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. You know, I've lost a lot of money. But there's more important things to life, Frog. Yeah. And fair fucks to you. You know, if you know you've been an advocate of FI, you've taken a lot of abuse, but fuck them, all of them. You know, we'll get through this together. You know, and I just want to reach out again to the market. If you're suffering, Stuart said it last night, Samaritans are there. If you need to reach out for help, please do. You know, talk to someone. Always talk to someone. You know, whether it's your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, community, your dog. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Just talk. Get out of fucking bed. Have a fucking shower. And have a breakfast.
Get some sunlight and fresh air.
And fuck them. Fuck all of them. And honestly, it don't matter how much money I lost. I would not want to be in their shoes.
Guys, I just need to share some levity of the ridiculousness of the situation here. So it's a bit of a harsh segue, but I've just had a glance and it's so fucking ridiculous that I have to share it. So has anyone actually looked at who the number one highest price player on the index currently is?
No, don't say that's your Russian guy. Don't say it's a Russian guy.
Kubatov.
A Katuku of FC Schalke at £1.60, followed by Orsic of Croatia.
Mark, it might be a Northern Irish fella that plays.
As long as not Stephen Davis or Rangers, that's all right.
At the end of the day, let's do some positive like you did last night, Stuart. You know, we love football. We love Football Index. We love the fucking race. We love the chase. The concept's there. Let's have some positivity. Fuck FI. Let's get bought out.
Positivity. Last night, I was probably, because I was on the YouTube chat last night, and I was the guy. I said about the power of advertising and how they can like simplify the concept. Right now, it's not about dividends. It's not about this. It's not about that. You pick the best player, forward, defensive, defender, midfielder in England, Scotland, Wales, England, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. Pick the best player in every position. You will win money. That's all you need to do. It's not about deadlines. It's not about different competitions. It's not about saying random boy from Montpellier is beating Kevin De Bruyne. It is so easy to simplify what they have done. I don't know what's went by positivity, but what they have done is simplify the game so much that you can sell it to a dummy. I think that's a great change. If they had done it months ago, it would have been even better. But they've done it now, and they've brought in tiered PB, which we've been all arguing for and debating about for since I joined about 3-4 years ago. They eventually brought it in. Granted, it's only going to be on 5 games, whatever it is, but it's a positive change. There's more opportunity to win money right now with more players. And I said this last night, you have Kroos, you hold Kroos, Sancho, and Bruno. You could be winning midfield pretty much every weekend.
Mark, sorry, whoever's just going to talk there, Frog. I just getting so many messages now since changing the handle. So the guys that are texting me, so all I need to tell you now is it's not about the number, how much you've lost. It's all relative. It's relative. So whether you lost 100k, 150k, £5 is all relative to what you can earn. But I'm telling you now, tell your missus, tell your boyfriend, tell your girlfriend tomorrow morning. You will feel much better for it and you will get through it so much more. You know, I'm reading these messages now. It's killing me. It's absolutely killing me. So please DM me, please. I'll be awake all night.
Same.
I've told the Jack Daniels that you've got to last, and there it is. It's got not much hope left, but I'm there. I'm there for you guys. I've been there for AMI shares. So I got inheritance tax from my granddad that died. I was next of kin. Yeah, Tesco shares. I sold out. I bought Thomas Cook. I made loads of money. And then I bought into some fucking shit shares, proper AMI shit shares. And the wife's coming down, I think. And just fucking don't worry. Just we're in it together. Please, yeah. Just reach out to us. Don't fucking do nothing stupid. And I'm guilty of that on Twitter today, but I might follow some of that through, if I'm honest. Just go for it. Yeah, go for it, Frog.
It's hard to find the right words, and it's like, you know, like I don't want to sit here and go poor me, but like it's like my issue is that you're saying about all the like family is the most important and all that stuff. It's true, but the thing is, between my job and between FI and the other things I was doing, my dream was to get to Edinburgh, be with my daughter, and between everything that's gone, losing the job when I did, and then FI crashing, that dream is so far out of reach for me right now. And that's the bit that, and it's not about the money, it's about being with my daughter. So that's the bit that's really hard. And like I can't sit here and blame FI. You know, I can look at the job situation as well, and COVID and everything like that. But the problem is that for many people, it's just like we might have overexposed ourselves to this product, but like people are fucking hurting, like in like hundreds of thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds, hundreds of pounds. It's, you know, it's all important. It's all people. It's all real to people, and it's all money that they've earned through making good decisions. And it's just, I'm sorry to bring it back down negatively, and you guys are trying to big it up. And you know, I echo what you're saying about people reaching out. Like I'm always been better at like helping people than helping myself. So, and like, you know, like, and I find it better for me to be helping. So anyone wants to talk anytime, Zoom calls, fucking DMs, anything, open. Like, I'm as low as I've been, and I've been low for a lot of my life. You know, I've had a lot of battles in my time, and yeah,
Frog, you're not alone, my friend. You're not alone. So I'm 43, in 30s. I was fucking depressed, antidepressants. I don't care. It's life. I actually genuinely think being low and depressed is part of life. We all need to talk. This isn't just about FI. This is just general in humanity. Stu touched on it yesterday. Let's talk about it. Come on.
Yeah,
Samaritan's there. You know. Sorry, Frog.
No. So that my thing is, like, it started a lot with, like, my childhood, and what I do is, see when things get really bad, like, I wallow in it, and I struggle to get myself out of it. And that's how I've felt for the past few weeks, like things like getting out of bed and things like that. And that's like my own situation, but it's also the FI pressure, and then all the other stuff we spoke about, other people. Like, it's just a combination of factors, and it's like, it's really fucking hard. Like, you look for jobs and there's nothing around right now. I've never had a problem getting jobs. I've done a million jobs. I've been on oil rigs. I've been bar managers. I've done sales work. I've worked in care homes. I've done everything. I've done, I've been at uni. I've done loads of stuff. But right now I can't fucking buy a job. Like, fuck, it's just, and like that, and then throw this on top, and it's just the negligence of what they've done to not give a fuck about the impact it has on people like us. And that's
Frog. I think
the bit that hurts.
I think the bit of pill is in that com was trolling, was COVID. Stu, I think you might want to touch on that a little bit more. But the fact they actually emphasized COVID as a problem, what the fuck?
It's just excuses. It's bullshit. It's just bullshit. They just talk shit. They just they throw certain shit in to make it.
Frog. The thing for me is, it's a guilt trip. It actually is trying to deflect the fact I'm the problem. That's my wife again. I'm the problem, but you're the problem. No, you're the fucking problem. Stop trying to deflect the problems. The trolling. What the fuck was that all about? Trolling. I'm going to troll you for the rest. And I said it so many times today. I will troll you for the rest of my life if you don't fucking fix this. I've lost a lot of money. These geezers around this whole community, they've not just lost money. They might have lost their lives. Blood is on their hands. End of. Fuck them. Sorry, Stu.
Yeah,
I gotta go quiet.
No worries, mate. It is absolutely the COVID thing for me is so underhanded as a statement, because what they did is they prioritized their product and their profits over the community when they went, right, you know what, COVID's hit. People are going to lose their jobs. People are going to be on furlough. People are going to, desperately need access to the funds that they've got locked up in our platform. What can we do about that? Let's get rid of Instant Cell as fast as humanly possible to remove that safety net from them. And let's leave them to the wolves by bringing in order books prematurely when we don't know what we're actually doing, because we've raced the timeline on that, because we're desperate to try and whip Instant Cell out of there as fast as humanly possible. People weren't spamming Instant Cell. They weren't. It wasn't like there was a massive market crash. The market was stable. There was nothing wrong with it. So they didn't need to rush that move. It wasn't like everyone was pulling the money.
You don't know that, though, because they stopped Instant Cell. This is like COVID happened, and I hear the guys, Frog, I'm really sorry to hear everything that what you're saying about your job and your personal life, and
Thanks,
that
man.
is absolutely fucking shit. There's no two ways about it. But I don't think you can. I can't deny my own personal perspective. I can't deny the reality of COVID impacting FI, and I'll go back to it. if you have near 500,000 shares in Jadon Sancho, 750,000 shares in Jadon Sancho, and everyone decides they want to cash out Jadon Sancho, we're on about 250,000 payouts, 500,000 payout, half whatever it is payouts. If they cash out every Jadon Sancho share, that burns through their cash like there is no tomorrow. If they cashed everyone out, at some point,
But they wouldn't need to.
They wouldn't need to though, because
we're saying this with hindsight. See when COVID hit, I don't know about you guys, but I remember watching the videos of people queuing up for food in Italy, going, "What the fuck is happening there? People are queuing outside shops for food." Well, what are we? No one knew what was going to happen. No one knew about furlough. No one knew about anything that was going to happen.
Okay, but
So
jump forward though.
Mark,
jump forward and say, like, okay, fair enough. They might have reacted to COVID the way they did, but they didn't need to introduce the order book like they did, not working, half made.
I agree with that 100%. 100%. I agree with that.
That's where the problem started. It's not.
I think that to me that's not the problem. To me the problem was the half baked. The 5 times I paid these where they started burning through shed loads of cash, trying to stimulate the market when really everyone else in the country was holding back cash. You look, we're all football fans here. Look at the January transfer window. What was the January transfer window like? Who made a big signing? No football club made a big signing. Everyone was holding on to cash. Everyone. But FI were throwing out fucking silly offers trying to get people to, which actually illogically is irresponsible. Now that I think about it, they were trying to get people to throw money in to buy players.
Absolutely, but to go back to the core thing, so the removal of instant sale, right? The thing that you can say, oh yeah, what if everyone sold Jadon Sancho? The market already had precautions in place that made that impossible to happen. Firstly, if a sudden spike in instant sale ever happened, it instantly froze instant sale, removed it as a function. And that happened repeatedly over the 2017, 2018 timeframe with Neymar and a number of other players who got injured or something suddenly happened that was a catastrophe.
The problem is that's a one-off event. That's a one-off event. That's Neymar getting injured. That isn't a collapse of football.
It absolutely is, and that, I agree. That's phase one of your plan. Is you have that immediate circuit breaker, which buys you a couple of days if you need to use it. It's not a 6-month solution. It's a short-term solution. However, the other thing that they then have in their favor is they widen the spreads. They regularly widen the spreads on the instant sale whenever there was excessive trading in certain players, and they could have widened the spreads to such a degree that people that urgently needed their money could have got most of their money back, more money than they'll be getting now out of it, but it would have been enough to discourage wild trading.
I'm sorry, but like everyone in this panel seems like they're very intelligent and very clued up. But we're in a situation right now where FI have had to slice dividends because they can't afford to keep dividend payments out on a few.
That's on them?
No, but it is on them, right? But they can't afford to keep paying out Messi, Sancho, who's won a few dividends, Kroos, who has a lot of shares in circulation. They can't afford to be paying out 14p dividends.
Oh, stop, Mark. No, Mark. Stop, mate, my friend. Come on, Mark.
But realistically, like football was suspended. Football was suspended for about 8 weeks or something like that. There was loads of media where no one knew what was going to happen.
Agreed. They could not do it, but why? Why were they fucking doing it in the first place?
Because they, under normal circumstances, like most businesses, they could actually trade and do that, but they couldn't.
Mark,
they weren't equipped.
Mark, you Irish boys last night, Northern Ireland and Ireland, were talking a lot of sense last night. Come on, my friend. Come on.
Do you think realistically FA could pay out instant sale on every share on the index?
No, I don't.
I don't think that's the point of the conversation.
They had to be able to, as part of their license. They had to hold that money in reserve, and that's why they wanted to move to order books, was to free up that asset so they had access to that fund. Part of their entire business model required them to hold X amount of cash in reserve to mean that they could meet that liability at any point. And also bear in mind that COVID
instant sale isn't a liability. It's a generous payout, like a cash out in a live bet with Bet365. It's a cash out which is suspended.
the way they have always presented it is that they had to hold cash in the bank as a liability to cover that. And also bear in mind that while COVID was happening, they weren't paying any PB dividends. So they weren't
But they're
paying
paying
any of those.
MB, five
Yeah,
places in MB.
they're paying 5 places of MB, but MB was all over the shop. So I agree that I'm not saying that it was a silver bullet, but I think that there were ways that they could have handled it. That particularly of, you could have moved to order books while also being a secret, quiet liquidity provider to shore up the market on a very low ball bid, but at least hovering somewhere there, rather than what we ended up with, which was moving to order books when there was so many players with no offer whatsoever. And not only that, but the number of bloody dross shares in the index they could have tidied up before they moved to that thing. How many fucking shares are in there still from the bloody World Cup of Iranian players that are just lingering there as this bloody cancer on the index that need to be tidied up?
I just want to touch on something that Dan said, and it's like what they keep giving through in comms, and how they've sent certain comms that are as Dan in the comments was talking about how FI always seem to like play the responsible gambling card, and how that we should be gambling responsibly, and we should be aware of our actions and stuff like that. Like what a load of absolute fucking pish. Like how can you even say that when they've done what they've done, and they've done what they've done to the market, and how we got here regarding COVID, or like, but it all comes down to thing. We are here because of their incompetence. We are here because they made decisions that they've got wrong, where they raised divs, where they dropped divs, where they took away IS, where they took away fucking they put in a shitty order book, whatever it may be. It's all bad decisions that people who are competent and know how things are done wouldn't have done, and they're just not capable. They're Dell boys.
Everybody will know by now, based on my handle, I put a lot of money in, £700, 48 hours ago, right? That's 1% of my actual total net deposits. They come back with me. Are you safe with your bet? Are you responsible gambler? Fuck off. Fuck off. You should have fucking suspended trading hours ago. Don't fucking tell me if I'm responsible. You're a cunt. Absolute cunt.
Yeah, I mean, they continue to handle this in, an absolutely catastrophic way, as we all acknowledge. It is, emotions are running very high. And guys, right, I think, because basically last night I ran this thing past midnight, and I was up at pre-7 this morning to see the market open. I'm gonna give everyone a closing statement and wrap it up for the night, so I can actually get some sleep tonight, hopefully, before my little one wakes me up at God knows what time tomorrow morning. So let's start with Ben. Ben, what have you got for your closing statements, mate? What are your closing thoughts?
Okay, well, first of all, thanks a lot to guys for participating in it. I know I haven't contributed that much, but it's been good to listen to you guys. I'm sorry it's come to this, I guess. What Mark said last of all, I kind of agree with him that some of the payouts were unsustainable, and I think it's incompetence rather than being cynical. And on the YouTube comments, we've got people, and I know some of you guys who are really angry with the company. I think luck and incompetence has got a lot to do with it as well, rather than that. So yeah, I just want to thank you guys. I hope it gets better. I'm still staying in there. I'll cream off my dividends, but I'm not selling anything because I can't really sell anything. And hopefully it will get better one day, maybe for the Euros.
Thanks. Ben. Mark, closing statement, mate.
Yeah, guys, thanks for Stu, thanks for letting us in again. Last night was great hearing the guys chatting, the guys tonight as well. I don't know where the index goes from here. I hope it's still about in a year's time from now we can look back at all of this and say they should have done X, Y, and Z, but we're still there saying this is what they should have done, rather than saying, we wish the company was still around. Whether that will be the case, I don't know, or whether it's bought over, I don't know. But it's been a great journey, and pound for pound is probably the best bunch of entertainment I've had over the last 4 years, from match days to chasing media dividends to watching guys like yourself, big index gain, researching. It's been a very invaluable part of my life, and it's something that's taught me a lot moving forward. Yeah, I just hope it's there. Yeah, that's all I can say. I hope it's there in a year's time.
Cheers, mate. Paroka, have your final say, mate. You need to come off mute to do it. We nearly made the whole damn thing without the mute comment.
Frog, Mark, Ben, Stu, I love you.
Love you too, bud.
Cheers, mate.
Twitter, just get through this and I love you. I just fucking love you. Just fucking, this is crazy, crazy shit. Tell your wives, tell your missus, tell your boyfriends, if you're homosexual or whatever, heterosexual, it doesn't fucking matter. Tell the partner. Love you.
Cheers, mate. Frog, go on, mate. Let's have a good.
I guess we don't have any answers. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know where this turns. We know it's bleak. We know it's not looking good. But I will still hold on to hopes of takeovers and things like that. You know, I still think it's genuinely could be really good. People will call me a fool for thinking that, but I still think that there is huge potential here. Yes, I know reputations are tarnished and blah blah blah, but I still genuinely believe there's people might call it blind faith, but I genuinely think, and I think I'm well experienced enough and well knowledgeable about the product to know that the potential's here. But that aside, I just want to focus on the community, because like whatever does happen with FI, I've met some like I've said it earlier and I'll say it again, I met some wonderful people and I've made some friends for life through this product. And you know, I could name hundreds of names, literally, like the people that would never have come into my life but have come into my life through FI, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I don't know how the rest of my life gets sorted out, but I'm really appreciative. And even since I've been on this stream, my phone's lighting up with, like, you know, Wakey and Scott and Scotia, Baz, Jonathan, Ryan, like all these messages, people I've not really spoke to before and just obviously seen on the stream, and like, thanks guys, and I really appreciate it. And it works both ways as well. Anyone wants to talk, I'm here. It's time. So just stick together. I don't know what the answer is, but you know, as your man was saying earlier, there is more to this. There is more to life than this, but it's as hard as some of us are struggling with this right now. There is more, and yeah, just stay strong, and you know, love you guys.
Frog, good man, top man.
So yeah, guys,
top man.
Thanks very much for everyone that's come on. Thanks everyone that's dialed in and participated in all of this. You know, feel free to hit me up with if you want anything like this coming up. I can't do one tomorrow night. I've got other commitments, and the midweek may be a bit of a challenge. But if you let me know what the appetite is, and I will try and be there to support the community as best as I can through all of this. You know, it is a trial, but you know, I think it's a watching brief for all of us for the coming weeks, and let's see how it goes. Like I said, I'm just going to end this stream on the same way that I ended it last night. There's a member of the community, Black Wolf, who is a major player on the Discord community. His daughter has a rare genetic disease that they're trying to get some funding for to help with diagnostics. I've just posted the GoFundMe link in the chat. So if you like this stream and you feel like you want to throw a few quid somewhere that isn't in FI's pockets, then feel free to go and stick a couple of quid there. You know, you're generally making a difference there, and that will hopefully put something positive out of this whole experience. But like I said, I'm there. You know, I will try and get back to people if they message me. I will try and be there for the community as best as I can. So just let us know what you need, guys, and we'll see what we can do. But other than that, guys, thanks for this evening, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you, Stu.